Yes, ma'am. So, we're doing lead generation systems basically today. This is an older course. It's about 15 years old. And this course is about as old as the MREA. And what I've done is I've taken all the original course materials and I've added some stuff. Because they talk, it's called Systematizing lead generation, but they talk mostly about lead converting. And I taught this course in Niagara, in Hamilton, and in Oshawa as well. And what I found the first few times I did it was that people were like, well, what about lead generating? So I've added a whole bunch of stuff about circle prospecting and working with your sphere. And then basically we're going to talk a lot about what you do with them once you got them. So what do you guys want to make sure you get out of today?
I want to understand from a database point of view. I just find it's hard to find one database to take leads from a whole bunch of different sources into. You've got like a dialer and then you've got another database. And so when you've got different sources of leads coming in, how do you put them all into one database, or do you?
Okay.
Because if your website's sending you leads and your dialer's sending you other leads,
It's a nightmare.
it is, yeah. So
And you're like, oh, I haven't opened up this spreadsheet in a month, and you go in there and you've got 3 that have sold signs on the lawns.
So that's more how you amalgamate and deal with the database thing.
Integration amalgamation. What else, guys? What can we make sure we get out?
Just how to make it automatic so that when you have a lead, your system tells you what you need to do next to
Love it. Okay. Automation and systems. There's a ton in here on that, so I'll go through it, and then what we'll do is when we get to the end, we'll just make sure that we covered everything. What else do we want to get today?
Mine is less automation.
Uh-oh.
A little bit too much.
Do tell, what do you think?
I've struggled with this for a while. I feel like some people in our database are getting way too many touches, and others aren't getting enough. And how to figure out how to split them up, because right now we have our whole database split to people who get hard copy stuff and people who get email stuff. And the people that are on the email list get listings, and they get all kinds of stuff, sometimes more than they want.
And if you put them on the hard copy list as well, they'd be like a 50 touch a year program or something.
So it's kind of how to figure out how to split up people so that we don't send them too much, but we don't undersend. I don't even know if that's a question.
That is
That's
their
that's
perfect
my-
balance.
Yeah.
There's a point in here when we're going to talk about the different groups in your database. And do me a favor, dig in a little bit with me.
Okay.
And we'll toss some ideas around.
Okay.
Especially when we have a group this size, guys, with your permission, I'd rather treat this like more of a mastermind than me talking at you guys for a couple hours. Does that work for you guys? We'll have an open conversation, because we'll probably have 10 people here today. So that way we can make sure. So categorization and I guess we'd almost say balance, right? What else, guys? What do you want to leave with? Should we just get into it? 5 after.
Maybe we'll come up with questions as you go.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's do it. I'm Sean Provencher. Are we recording already? Do you guys want to start this thing? Are we recording this?
Are we doing cutscene?
Not today, because I've already done this on front seat.
Oh, okay.
I just don't want to have the same course again a few weeks apart. So, yeah. With that being said, I taught this in Hamilton. We had a great conversation, big room of people, and it is on front seat. So anyone who wants to go back and take a look, it's in there. Everyone's a member of the group? Awesome. So I'm Sean Provencher. I'm the owner of the Path Real Estate team. I'm a maps coach. I've been doing this for a little while. I love teaching. And today we're going to do the MREA systemized lead generation. If ever you want to confuse yourself, just say that a couple times fast. It's a mouthful. And Yeah, it should be a couple hours. I don't have any ground rules, basically, guys. If you need to take a call, I'm totally fine with you stepping out. Just do me a favor, if you gotta get out for a second, try not to disrupt the class. Let's be participatory and come from contribution. You know, if there's something that you guys have that you'd like to share with the group, like, you know, come at me and get my attention. If you guys have a question, stop me, because I'm gonna move as fast as I can. There's a ton of material in here. I wanna make sure that everyone gets a lot out of it today. Okay. I told you a bit about myself. I'm from the Path Real Estate team. We're located in Leslieville, Market Center 777. I don't trade anymore, so now what I do is I recruit and I consult with the people on my team. My brother actually runs the team. He's like the sales manager, CEO, and I teach a lot because I'm networking because we're building our group and we're expanding into market centers. I'm a Maps Mastery coach, been in Gary Keller's top agent group for a couple of years. And part of the reason I teach so much is I'm earning my master faculty with KWU, so I'm going to lock the doors and force you all to give me an evaluation before we leave here today. And also, I built the front seat real estate group, so we've had a lot of fun. We're trying to figure out which way we can take the group to add even more value to the members. Basically, a bunch of Canadians, you know, there's a million real estate groups for the United States where people share opinions. This one's a little more business focused, so we talk a lot about business building and training. And it's a Canadian touch, which was something that was missing. What I'd love to do is just kind of go around the room. You guys give me the 10,000 foot up view on who you are, what you're doing, maybe how long you've been in the business, how you generate leads currently, and what you want to take home today if you didn't already get it on the board. Mind if we start with you?
Sure, no problem.
Awesome, man.
Darren Maltese, I'm with, actually work with Marvin Alexander up in Newmarket. I've been 10 years in the business. My current lead generation is pretty lax, but it's mostly repeat referral business.
Great. That's nice.
So one thing to take home today would be learning how to lead generate with new business.
Ooh, came to the right course. All right, you guys keep going. Who's next?
Lyle Hamilton, came over to Keller Williams, so I know it was really great before. Been in business
Welcome.
for 9 years, thank you. My lead generation is door knocking and referrals pretty much.
Okay.
Do some phone calling, but not that much. What I'd like to get out of today, as I said before, is getting those leads and converting them into appointments, and then, of course, into transactions.
Great. That's the meat and potatoes of today. That's the majority of what we're going to talk about is how do you categorize, how do you brand, how do you message, all that stuff. There's great material in this course.
I'm Zane Dobson. I've been an agent for about 16 years.
Okay.
I've been trying to automate my lead gen, and so I'm using Mojo, BombBomb, and Referral Maker, the Buffini database.
Cool.
And I'm struggling with my automating my 8x8
Okay.
and trying to connect Mojo, because that's where I'm putting all my new leads in, and trying to get them over, because I really believe in using video email. I think it's more interactive and has a better open rate.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to go through my whole lead intake process and where they come in and how I get them to BombBomb, how I get back to the calls through the 8x8. So
Wow.
that's what I'm challenged with at the moment. And my son James is joining me, so I just wanted him
Well,
to hear
hold on.
this.
Give him a sec. He's going to introduce you.
And so
He's still eating.
I just want him to be on the same page as me, so I don't
Here's
have
my
to.
last.
You're next, James. Put that in your mouth and introduce yourself.
I'm James Dobson.
I was joking, but thank you.
I'm not a real estate agent yet, but I'm in training. Starting my third exam end of November.
Great.
Currently don't do any lead generation right now for obvious reasons, but I'm interested in online lead generation through maybe social media and SEO, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Okay.
I'm sure, considering this is an older course, you don't touch much on that, but do you have any thoughts about
We
it?
talk about it a bit. I'm happy to share anything I got with you. Yeah, absolutely, Will. Yeah, great.
Danuta Ventas, it's gonna be my 4th year.
Great.
Door knocking, people I know, and I'm hungry for the information.
Hungry for information?
Yes.
We are going to move fast today, so expect to leave with lots. If you guys remind me at the end, do you guys have a registration sheet you use, Irene? Okay. What I'll do is I'll get all you guys to register, and I can send you the slides. So if you guys want something to
that'd be great.
jog your memory at the end, that's usually what I'll do is I'll send the slides and I'll send the original course materials in case you want to go deeper. There's a ton of resources in there. And it's got a huge appendix, so
Okay.
I'll make sure that you guys all get that. We'll just, should we do a registration sheet or do you guys want to drop cards? What's easier?
I'll make it.
If you guys have cards, you can just drop them in a pile. I'll have my admin send you everything in the morning. Okay, Irene, we all know you, but let's just go through the process. Come on.
Almost 26 years in the business. Robin, who's in our team right here, I will let you speak to. We got a lot going on. We have streamlined our lead gen to repeated referral, well, focusing on repeated referral, open houses, and farming. Door knocking is part of farming and circle prospecting. So I think our biggest challenges right now, except for my organization, are to have more time consistency and how to fit that in with the rest of the business, especially for door knocking.
Okay.
And I don't know, for me, I mean, we might have some different challenges. For me, it's just finding more to want to do.
Okay.
I have no issues once I get the time to do it and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Just seems there's fewer of them.
Yeah. It's been a weird year, that's for sure. Robin?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm Robin. I got my license in May, so I've been in the industry for 6 months. Ironically, doing my license while everything was hot and amazing, and then got my license as everything sort of took a weird turn. So it's been an interesting, not what I expected, not in a bad way, not in a good way, but just different.
No one knows what to expect.
Yeah. And so it's been interesting, and I think for me, like, thank God I've got Irene and the team sort of leading me in the right direction, but when it comes to lead generation, what I find I struggle with is the conversion side of it. If I'm, door knocking for an hour a night, how do I get people to actually give me a chance? Not just hit a whole bunch of doors and then leave being like,
Okay. So capture, maybe?
sure, yeah.
I've got some great stuff I'm going to give you. DK info capture. Okay, awesome.
My name is Ernie Provencher. I've been in the business just under 10 years. I was at Royal Page and came to Keller Williams about, I guess, a year and a half ago.
Awesome.
We met.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I mostly get this referral open houses. And I've just, this year, since I've been in Keller Williams, I started door knocking. I've never door knocked until I came to themselves. I've been doing that. So I've been getting leads, but once again, not the conversions. So it's the second step is I'm finding. I meet people, I walk a dog, I meet a lot of people, I manage to talk about real estate and let them know I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah.
It's the next step I'm finding the challenge.
Awesome. Okay.
So that's what
You're going to get a lot out of this because I'll show you some basic tools that you can build in, just follow-up systems and stuff like that.
I have to leave. I have my daughter that has an orthodontist appointment, so if I leave, it's not because.
It's not that I spat on you or something?
No.
Okay.
Or maybe it will be,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, they're recording it, so you can get this later.
Okay.
But whatever you miss, you can reach out. I'll make sure you get it. What's your name, man? Are you going to join us?
I know, I'm actually,
We're trying to pull you in here. Come on. No, we want to be with you.
yeah, I know, I'm kind of busy right now, but I just,
All right, well, give us your name at least.
Norman Scott.
Norman Scott. All right. Welcome, Norman. All right, so let's jump in, guys. One of the things that they talk about in the beginning of this course is kind of the phases that you go through in your real estate career. And I like it because it kind of mirrors what you go through in your lead generating. So people always start out in survival mode. It's kind of scary. Agents who are new or, in their first year or so, even joining a team, it's scary. You got like a day that you run out of money if you don't get things moving fast enough. So typically when you're in that mode, you're doing the majority of your lead generating with your own effort. And I actually really believe in this, like fueling your business by prospecting as opposed to marketing. Marketing is when you spend money to get leads to come to you. Prospecting is when you go out and find people. And it's usually where people start. It's usually where the best leads come from because you got that personal connection. You hear people like Irene and being in the business for 10 years and they're focused on repeat and referral. You said that you had the same kind of thing going on. those people are typically going to be people that were in your life and you built a great relationship with, and you did a great job for, and they come back to you. And some of the best supporters you'll have in your entire business will come from when you begin, because you're in fight mode. You want to do everything you can for success, right? So this would be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. Typically in this case, the only marketing dollar you're going to spend is going to be a very small amount. It's just going to be to maintain the relationships you've worked upon. Does that make sense? Prospecting based, marketing enhanced. From there you move into developing. You can start to transition. You're using tools. And we're going to talk a lot about this phase and the tools that you can use. This is still going to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. This would be like, year 2, 3, and 4. You're getting up in production. You're starting to get more money. You're not quite ready to commit to $5,000 a month on web leads. You know what I mean? And then you get to thriving mode. And basically what happens is things kind of shift. Prospecting is great, but there's only so much prospecting that you can do. You hit a ceiling, right? And that ceiling can be pretty high if you've got great tools and systems to help you prospect. Like in my business, we have the majority of our business comes from prospecting. I have agents writing $500,000 or more in the course of a year. But ultimately, if you're an individual agent or the lead agent on the team or group that you run, if you want to take your production past a certain point, usually it involves an investment. And this is where you kind of shift and you become more marketing based and prospecting based. They talk about this a lot in the Red Book. So evolution of lead generation and conversion starts with prospecting. So we're talking about door knocking, engaging with your sphere, FISBOs, and typically this is the fastest way to get new business. It's low hanging fruit. People who already like you are more likely to use you than people who don't. You move towards the market. This is people who you target. So you choose a group, or it could be geographic, it could be demographic, it could be an association. You market to that group of people with the intention of bringing them in. And this would be either on the web or using hard materials. Irene, we're going to lean on you a little bit when we get into the farming conversation, because you guys do a really, really great job. Once you've been in it for a little while, you start to move towards thriving mode. And this is where you start to really get a lot of database referrals. Most people aren't going to move 5 times in 5 years. Most people are going to move 1 time in 5 years, something like that. So it takes a little while for referrals to really kick in. When they start to roll, the more that you do to nurture and receive more, the more that you'll get. And this is where it gets really powerful. Finally, you get into the full package. This is where you have the MREA systems all in place. So you're being prospecting and you're marketing. If you're the lead on a team, you might have your teammates prospecting and you're focusing more on repeat and referral. Would be a pretty traditional thing. You've got powerful systems behind you that help you manage your lead flow and make sure that no one falls through the cracks and everyone's marketed to appropriately. We're going to talk a lot about that. And ultimately, it's about source. It's about making sure that you always have, if you look at top teams, you'll find that most top teams have either 3 or 4 main pillars of lead generation. 3 or 4 sources.
What do your teams need?
I can't stop repeat and referral. Mm-hmm. No matter how much new lead gen my agents do, I'm always about 35-40% repeat and referral, sphere, stuff like that. We do a huge amount of business through cold lead generation, door knocks and cold calls. We do invest in the web, although I think web leads are crap. I'm just going to say it. You can spend as much as you want. You'll just get more Mickey Mouse registrations. We're focusing now on adding our 4th one, which is going to be farming. So we just finished renovating a building in East York where our hub team is, and we're going to be focusing really heavily on engaging a small number of homes surrounding our hub building, probably 2,000-3,000 homes. And we're going to do all the traditional stuff. We're starting a Facebook group, mailers, and we are going to door knock the absolute hell out of it. So
you have an ISA department that does the calling and the door knocking, or your agents do?
We used to. I had an ISA department that's inside sales associate, so someone who just sits in a seat and cold calls. Mm-hmm. And we ran it for a full year. And what we had was 2 people in the office making calls 8 hours a day. And then we had a group of 8 people in the Philippines that were calling around to find leads for them. We were RICO compliant. What we did was we just did a survey.
Yeah.
So I've never wanted to build something that I could go to court to argue if I get to keep. I like to sleep at night. So we did a survey thing for a while, which worked really well and then didn't work at all after a year because everyone else started doing it.
Well, yeah, because I did it for 8 months and then I stopped doing it too because when you call, I think there's a lot less people that have home phone numbers now too.
This
so
is a big
that's
problem in
the big
Canada.
problem.
Yeah.
And then I just found I was calling the same lists and
Yeah.
you hit a wall. You can only come up with so many numbers.
My team says they kind of know half the voicemails in our favorite
Yeah,
areas, right?
yeah.
It's like, hey, it's Bob and Steve next.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so our four though, repeat referral,
Mhm.
we do a lot of cold, like door knocks and cold calls. I kind of consider them one thing. You'll just have different conversions. One of them is door knocking takes more time and you build a better connection with the people who you do meet. Cold calling takes way less time, is super efficient, but you've got a veil between you, so. Yeah, absolutely. You guys ready? Any other questions about this? Keep steaming ahead. Let's go, Sean. Okay, so we're going to talk about basic prospecting techniques, talk about getting started. I'm going to share some tools and equipment with you that I use. We're going to talk about the MREA systems for lead management and marketing. So we'll be going right back to the basics, talking about things like 8x8 and 33 text, but we're also going to talk about what teams are doing now, because a lot of these systems that they talked about when they wrote the MREA there are new things that people are doing that are pretty cool too, so I'm going to share those as well. I'm going to talk a lot about how to manage and categorize your database, and we're going to talk about some fundamentals of marketing and branding. Sounds good? So it all starts with prospecting, right? Because we're a new agent. You're in survival mode and you've got to find some leads. So anyone here mind sharing what they think of when they think of prospecting? Finding people. Yeah, absolutely.
Just connecting with people, as many people as you can, right?
Exactly. He's going to do well. Yeah.
He calls me on the lead gen stuff because he's going to be better at it than I am.
You know what? What you said was really smart. As many people as you can. This is a numbers game. I see, you'll see agents sometimes who go into the office and they get all pumped up and they make 3 calls and one of them goes well and they stop. And I'm like,
What are
you need to do 100 more before you stop. So prospecting is basically just having a systematic way of reaching out to promote your business. Typically, it's going to be geographic or demographic groups, so people who you know, cold calls, door knocking, something to that effect. It's time consuming as hell. It takes a long time, but it's super, super effective. And you won't believe the relationships that come out of knocking on doors and just doing simple things like walking the dog, I know a woman who used to always buy those Starbucks growlers, and she'd just go to not growler, what do they call them there? The pack with like 10 cups on the side.
Oh, the traveler.
The traveler, yeah, I called it a growler. Growlers are for beer, pardon me. That's where my head's at. It's already after 12, right? I knew a woman who used to just go buy the travelers, and she'd go to the dog park and pour everyone a coffee. She had a ton of money. $15. It's a great idea. Why not? Yeah. So that's marketing enhanced, right? You're prospecting, but you're enhancing it with a little bit of marketing. You get a stamp or put your logo on the touch or something. Here's the thing. It takes time, guys. It's a numbers game. If you want to get one lead to come out of the bottom of your funnel, you got to put hundreds in the top. So it takes time, and most agents don't have the grit for it. This is why, if you look at our board, there's like 20,000 agents who haven't even written a deal in the last year, and there's probably only 1,000 or 2,000 who write more than 10 or 15. The majority of agents are going to just do a few deals by referral. I think our board average is 2.9 or 2.7 deals every year. If you average this all out, 2.5 now.
Sales, right?
Yeah.
Almost 50,000 listings.
Yeah, almost.
The numbers are sickeningly against us, and if you want to be the realtor who takes your unfair share, you got to touch the right people. It's just a numbers game. So it takes time. Agents get frustrated, they don't continue. So just know that coming into this, it takes a little while. So typically we're going to start with our lowest hanging fruit, right? These are supposed to come up one by one, so I kind of gave away the answer. Well, if you're a new agent and you don't have any clients or past clients, or you haven't had the chance to go knock on 10,000 doors yet, who's going to be the people who love you the most and would be the most likely to send you referrals or be willing to do business with you when you're new? It's going to be your sphere. So some truths about it, it will be your lowest hanging fruit. They already love you. Oops. What did I do? Sorry. If you're new, one of the things that you'll want to do with your sphere is help them understand that you have support. So coming into this business, you're going to be part of a group that's done this for 16 years. You've got incredible presence in this community. Share that with them. You know, we've got 50 years plus of experience in this business, and I've got a group of people supporting you to make sure that everything goes flawlessly when we take your transaction. Help them understand. I've got to put this down. Don't expect a referral on your first call. A lot of people make this mistake. They call 20 people from their sphere and they ask for referrals and they get frustrated when it doesn't work. Think of it like training a dog. It's not a horrible analogy, but let's say that you need to teach a dog a new trick. It takes a few times repeating it. And what you'll find with your sphere is that it usually takes 2, 3, 4 requests before you start to see a steady stream of referrals coming in. So just,
I find it also, on the training topic, you have to tell them how to do it. Like, give me a call while they're standing in front of you, or just you plan in your head how to do the referral.
Mike Hicks has an amazing line he shared at family reunion. He says, and I truly appreciate you giving up my card, and word of mouth is the lifeblood of my business. But if you truly want to support us, please call me, text me, or email me their information, because then I can 100% guarantee that I'll be in touch with them. If you give me their card, there's a high probability that if they're like me, they might lose that card and end up with the wrong realtor at the wrong time. So please, call me, email me, or text me.
Yeah.
He says it like 4 times during a referral conversation. So don't forget, I'm asking you to call me, email me, or text me. And they're like, yeah, I get it, okay? But yeah, absolutely. Share with them how to give it to you. And remind them on our team when we do, we treat our whole sphere as a group. So when we're doing sphere calls, we don't just do 3 a week. We'll do 3 or 4 big pushes to our sphere every year, typically surrounding an event or something. So we'll rent out a movie theater, or we'll host a dinner. We'll have some reason that we're calling for our entire sphere. And what we'll do is we'll plan a month in advance. And the first call is, hey, we're planning this event, want to make sure. We're also doing a referral drive. I want to ask, do you know anyone? No, you can't think of one? That's fine, because actually I'll check back with you in another week or 2. During that time, do you think you could find me someone? I'm sure that you know someone who's going to be moving in the next 3 to 6 months. Great, I'll call you back in a week, and you'll have that name for me then.
Is this another good way to suggest, to train them, is to say, how about sending a joint email out to your friend and just copying me on it?
Great way to do it.
Right, because then it's not like, maybe it's easier for them.
Yeah.
That's
I
invasive.
stopped using, because I recruit, so I'm in the talent referral game constantly, and if you guys know someone who wants to be on our team, please let me know, because we want to have a team in this office too. But I stopped using the word referral, and I've started using the word introduction.
Yeah.
It comes across so much better. You don't have to sell me on these guys. I just want you to send an email, CC the 2 of us, and say, hey, I got someone powerful that I would appreciate if you spoke to. Would you take this call? It's not your job to qualify them. It's not your job to convince them of anything. Just, I'm asking you for an introduction. Can you do that for me? And then you get that CC email. Another thing too, if the person who was referred to was referred on Facebook and they're both like a younger demographic, don't do email, do Facebook. Or get them to text you both or something. Like, try to make it as comfortable for both the parties that you're working with as possible. We're realtors. You can communicate in any format you prefer. I'm always on my phone. Trust me.
Pigeon carrier.
Yeah. Well, you might as well send smoke signals if you're going to send someone on, so think about that.
Sean, maybe I can add something to the it takes time comment.
Yeah.
So I have been negligent in getting in regular contact with my past clients. I haven't touched my sphere yet. And this year, to get back to the client call. So we had a big event, the client party, and right after, that was the beginning of September, so right after my leave, I said, I'm going to spend 8 weeks to call every single past client, no matter if they came to the party, if they didn't come to the party, because I was supposed to get in touch.
Yeah.
And it was before I had to talk to them, like, they get emails and letters, but I hadn't talked to them. And I'm right now, because there's about 550 of them, I'm now at 38 and a half hours, because you can only do like an hour or 2 a day.
Yeah.
And you can't, so I'm at 38 and a half hours, and out of that, I've had 1 transaction, well, 5 possible transactions including appointments. But that's out of pretty big group and a lot of time. Now, they're very good because, you know, listing appointments, the offer I was not signed, that was part of those calls. So
If
they
you
were-
didn't get them on the phone, did you leave a message? Or did you
I
just
always
call
leave
back?
messages, always leave messages, or follow up with an email. So all of this, so, you know, 5, I guess, 5 or 6,
What's your average price point?
9.3,
That's 5 or 6 out of 550?
and almost 40 hours.
Right, so it's $116,000 of potential commission divided by 38 hours of work. So you're making $3,069 an hour.
Haven't sold the house
Yeah.
yet.
I'm just saying.
But it's, but the thing, I mean,
Not
the
bad.
thing is, you're going, okay, so that's a really good return, but you gotta look at the time you put into it.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that a lot of agents miss.
And we're going to talk a lot about ways that you can automate the touch, but at the end of the day, if you aren't on the phone with people at least a couple times a year, they're getting emails from more realtors than just us.
And I think that, for me, that's the challenge. I've gone through different things using the system, so an automated email will go out for anniversaries or birthdays, and I found, because you're talking about past clients, and to sit down and spend 38 hours calling people, I have to go back, and I've been looking at my touch plan, and I've changed past clients to a call on their anniversary. And that spreads it out through the year, so I know I'm gonna hit everybody at least once, because it just reminds me to call them, instead of
Yep.
me automating the touch for that.
It's a balancing act.
It is, and
With the whole event thing too, you know what else people say? If you're going to do an event like that, it's less important who shows up and who's at the event. It's more important about what you do before and after. So you
Yeah.
call, you nurture, you know, I love you. Then after the event, you're posting photos. Oh, we had so much great time. Look at all this. This guy won an iPad. We have, you know, beautiful wine or whatever. And you build it to more than what it was.
Yeah.
I think that was a really interesting point that Irene made, because these are past clients that know her and love her. And it's still only 1%.
Yep.
Result, so.
Yeah.
1%
what's the
at the
percentage
moment
on
of the
people you
phone call
don't
though.
know at all though? Like, these are people that know her and love her. It just goes to show you how much time you have to spend doing it.
Absolutely. I want to point one thing out though. If you think about per return, I would wager that from your effort, the lion's share of the return hasn't come to you yet.
Exactly.
Because you call them, they're like, I honestly don't have a referral. You know, if you ask me who I knew that was going to buy a new minivan in the next 3 weeks, I don't know. But if one of my friends was like, oh, I'm buying a minivan, do you know someone who's like a great minivan guy? I'd be like, yeah, Irene, she just called me the other day and I'm going to her house tonight. You know, you got to talk to her. So it's one of those difficult things to track. What percentage of your business would you say is repeat and referral? You know?
It's about somewhere between 55 and 60.
So it's tough to say, oh, I made 150 calls and I got 5 referrals, or, you know, 500 calls and I got 5 referrals. Yet, if you add that factor to it and you think, well, if I wasn't doing this sort of activity, maybe I wouldn't have 55 to 60% of my business being repeat and referral. It's an intangible one, but I really believe that the majority of referrals that you receive for your effort won't come in instantaneously.
And it's constant, it's that, are we gonna start the new, gonna go over the new touch plan, MRA 2?
They haven't released it yet.
Okay.
So it's not here, but we're
Inside
gonna.
scoop.
No, I wish I did.
It's gonna be the 36 touch, according to the
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the touch point plan, or what should it be for past clients? Like,
We're gonna get to it.
Well, yeah.
We're gonna get to what they used previously. The truth is, it hasn't changed tremendously from what I've heard. I think, and it, you know, 33 or 36 touches, we do 28 touches on my team, and you know, so it's one of those things. The one thing that I'll say before we move on from Sphere, guys, is Sphere and referral is an amazing way to build your business. But if you want to scale up your business really quickly, you can't just rely on this. Because if you're just Sphere and referral, you're at the mercy of the trends within your demographic group. You know, if you have a certain age of friends, they're all buying first-time homes. There might be a quieter couple of years coming up when they're, you know, popping out their first couple kids. So you're subject to that, and you can only squeeze so many referrals out of your buttons before you're the person that they look at your call and they're like, oh god. So you have to make it a balancing act. If you want to grow your business quickly, we're going to get into circle prospecting. You know, a lot of people dislike it, which is why I start with the myth of understandings. It isn't sexy at all, circle prospecting. But boy, oh boy, does it work. Okay, so misunderstandings are going to be easy. Sorry. Does everyone know what I mean when I say circle prospecting?
No.
Okay, basically.
Either calling or knocking around a listing or sold.
Usually, yeah, and I don't think it has to be just around a listing. You could be knocking for a buyer, but it's like if you chose a location, drew a circle around it, you want to say, I'm going to talk to everyone in that circle. That's basically the concept. But it started out with knocking around your listings and stuff like that. So door knocking, cold calling, just speaking to random people, asking for business. That's what it is. So they're going to be mean to me. I hear people say this all the time. Very few is the truth. I door knock for years. You might have people who are curt, you know. I don't have time for this. Closed. Don't take that stuff personally. You know what? You don't know what's going on behind that door. They might have just been in a fight with their wife, the dog pooed on the couch, and the baby spilled olive oil all over their carpet or something, right? They could have broken their arm, right? Yeah, so just give people the benefit of the doubt and move on with your day.
They don't know you, so it's not like they're shutting you down.
Exactly. They're shutting down the real estate agent that just knocked on their door. I'm sure we've all been discourteous to cold callers before, and now the table's turned. So, you know, pay some karma forward kind of thing and just give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm too busy. I hear this all the time. Doing what exactly? This is one of the things that's the most dollar productive activities in the entire business. So if you're too busy doing something that doesn't generate you $3,000 an hour, I encourage you to find something that does and do more of that and let the rest be chaos. People don't want to talk to me. If you show up at someone's door or you call them up and that's what you have in your mind, you're probably right. You know that old expression, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. I think the same thing applies here. If you're calling people up going, oh God, this is going to be awful, they probably won't enjoy the conversation either. I'm just not good at cold calling. You know, no one rides their bike the first time down a hill kind of thing. So unless you give it a try and you get out and do it a whole bunch, you're right, you won't be good at it. But guess what? You can earn while you learn. Just go start knocking on doors. The worst thing that happens is you don't get the sale. Best case scenario, you might list the house the next day. Everyone's on the do not call list. I hear this one all the time. It's absolutely not true. About half of the city, a little more, you know, anywhere, depending on the area, 40 to 70% of people will be on the do not call list, which is fine. If they took the trouble to put themselves on a list of people who don't like talking to telemarketers, why would you telemarket to them? You know, like, seems obvious to me. People, I know so many realtors who call the do not call list. I'm just like, how crazy, you know? This one's my favorite. I prefer to work by referral. Yeah, of course you do. But after you've called all the people in your database, if you've got, you know, no other highly dollar productive things to do, go out and talk to some more people. Or, you know, don't sit at home and wait. And, you know, you can only pester your database so much before it goes from being a nice thing to a bothersome interaction. You don't want to be that person who they roll their eyes. And then I always hear this one, door knocking is better than cold calling. Yes, it is. It's 100% better. The whole landline thing that you mentioned, that's a factor. In the United States, they've got Vulcan. You can literally buy every single person's cell phone number. We have different privacy laws in Canada. It's not going to change. You can't get cell phone numbers, period. So door knocking is better than cold calling. In terms of the connection you build with people, you can get a lot more personal. Over the phone, it's easier for them to be rude. One thing about cold calling is you've already got their number, which is kind of nice. Anyone ever had this experience? Hey, I'm from a real estate company. Great, I'm planning to sell my house in a month. Really? Oh my God, can I call you? No. You're like, oh my God, dude, come on, I've been knocking on doors for hours here. So, truth about circle prospecting, it's a numbers game. So, only a very, very, very small percentage of the people who you need are going to be people who you talk to ever again. Just be used to that. You know, you eat the frog for a couple hours every morning. It takes practice, but the more you practice, the easier it gets. So you're going to be incredibly uncomfortable the first couple times that you knock on a door or cold call someone. That's totally normal. Okay? You'll probably get 19 no's for every yes. And when I say yes, I mean yes, we're moving sometime within the next 2.5 years.
I
So,
would change that to like 99 no's for yes.
well, you'll get better. No, well, you should expect about 3 to 5%. Because in most neighborhoods in Toronto, we see a 3 to 5% turnover over a given year. So if you double it, that'll mean that you could get 6 to 10%, but people who are moving next year, half of them don't know, and people who are moving this year, half of them might already have a realtor. So 3 to 5% is actually a pretty good working average for what you can expect if you knock on 100 doors.
When you say yes, is there a time frame attached to that? How do you define yes?
So on my team, we've got 2 types of yes. We have a lead, which is like, I'm putting the barrel on my sniper rifle and I will not let you out of my sight kind of thing. That's 90 days or less to being in a transaction with us. You will get very few of those, but you will get them. And then we have what we call nurtures. And for me, I've got a very, very simple definition of a nurture. Less than 2 years before they do business. Some of my agents will take them in for 3. It's up to them. They've got to call them for 3 years, in my experience. If you're taking a 3-year lead, it'll probably be 5 years before they move, and I just don't want to talk to you that much. I'll call you back before then, and we can start over. So up to 2 years to do business. Clear motivation. When you get someone who's like, yeah, maybe, I don't know why, you're garbage, goodbye. I'll call you back in a couple of years, we'll figure it out then. If they say, we're moving on X date because I'm getting a promotion, or I'm being reassigned, or I retire, or my kids are going to be done university and we want to leave the city, motivation. It's clear, they have a plan. They're not just like, maybe a different house maybe sometime. That's not motivation, that's not a plan. So up to 2 years, clear motivation, full contact details. So I want everything. Email, get their email for the love of God, and if you want to spend so much money on print, it's insane. And willing to do business with us. I've stopped putting people in who have a family member in the business. I'm just tired of trying to work around this objection. It's too hard to get around. And it just exhausts me and it's depressing. So if you would not consider doing business with me, I won't try to convince you. That's fine. I'll go find a better lead. Okay? Don't accept the first no. Guys, this was like a TSN turning point on my team. I remember we used to just ask if they were moving within the next 2 years and then get on to the next call because it was like an efficiency thing. And then we tried adding like an additional 4 questions after they said no. And you wouldn't believe how many people say no, no, yes. It's so weird. So our questions are, we butter them up a little bit first. So, hey, I'm a real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. I'll just give you every prospecting script right now. Are you guys ready? I've got a summary of how they all work. This is how every single prospecting script works. Blah, 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 real estate. Blah, 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 me, real estate. Blah, 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 you, real estate. That's basically every script. From there, the questions that you ask will be how you figure out if they're moving, right? So on our team, we distract them a little bit. We ask how long they've been in their home, if they know anyone that's moving. I don't really care. I'm just getting them talking kind of thing. And then we ask, any plans to move, how about you? Any chance in the next couple of years kind of thing? Any chance to move in the next few years? Is there anything you ever wanted to change about your home? Like a bigger yard or a new kitchen? Have you ever thought about upgrading or downsizing? You wouldn't believe how many people say, no, I'm not moving in the next 2 years. There's nothing I change about my home. And then you ask them if they have any plans to upgrade or downsize and say, oh yeah, well, we bought a custom home. We're going to be selling in 6 months. And you're like, dude, am I talking Japanese? Like, what happened? So ask them more than once. One of my favorite questions is, under what circumstance would you consider selling right away? What do you notice about that question? This is like a Hail Mary at the end. What do you notice that's different about that question? Under what circumstance would you consider selling right away?
It's not a yes or no.
Yes, it's not a yes or no question. They have to say something. So, or if we had a buyer that wanted to offer on your home, would you want to look at the offer? We're talking, right? So you make people think. Get them thinking and get them talking. Challenge yourself when it gets fun, guys. One of the things about circle prospecting is that it is a grind. And it takes a bit of grit to keep going, guys. So one of the things that they talk about in bold is the whole idea that if you expand, you don't contract to the same size you were before. And this is all about conditioning. So you're going to go out and you'll door knock till you do 10 contacts, and it's going to feel like climbing a mountain. And then you're going to try to do 12 and be like, oh, there's so much more than 10. What if we just went out and did 100? Wouldn't that make 20 feel easy moving forward? So my recommendation is, we used to do this thing on our team where we bring people in. If this was time, this was time and this was activity, and this was my team's minimum standards, we used to do this thing where we soft glove them on their way up, and month 1 was hard, month 2 was hard, and month 3 was even harder kind of thing. Now what we do, we just start them at a 12 out of 10, we hold them there for 90 days. It's tough. But when they come out of it, we bring them down to standard. They got a full pipeline, they're conditioned. Suddenly our standard feels like a vacation compared to what they just did. And they just slide into it.
So you start them on 120?
Our agents are on a pretty powerful dialer, so they're doing on average between 170 and 250 contacts a week.
Phone calls.
Yeah, connections over the phone. Contacts,
So that
not
would be-
not calls. That would be like 400 or 500 calls.
That's a lot of door knock.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of calls.
Yeah, that's
well,
calls.
it would be a lot, yeah.
Yeah, we do encourage door knocking too. We've got a different metric for door knocking. We measure time, so we've got a time commitment. Everyone does 10 hours of lead gen, because when we started using auto dialers, they could bang out their 100 before lunch on Monday, and we're just like, well, what are you going to do for the rest of the week? So we focused on 2 hours a day being the block, and then if they want to do door knocking, every 15 contacts they make, we count for an hour. So we worked out to be 150 contacts if they just did door knocking. Any questions on this stuff, guys?
What dialer do you use?
So, actually, you were asking about integrations, weren't you? So, probably don't do it because it's super expensive, time consuming, it's a nightmare to set up. Our vision for the company that we're building is to have hundreds and hundreds of agents. So, we went with more of an enterprise level solution. We're on Salesforce.
Okay.
It's designed for thousands of salespeople and millions of clients, and that's the big vision. Salesforce is open to third-party developers, so if like an iPhone, you can install apps. And we have a dialer called the 59, F-I-V-E, and then a numerical 9. You can get a standalone, it's really ugly on its own, I've never used it, you can check it out. For teams, the 59 dialer is great because on Mojo or something like that, you get 3 dialing lines. Are you using the 3 lines?
I'm using the one.
Okay, so when you upgrade, which you should do, it's not much worse. You dial this guy, you're having a conversation, this guy picks up and he receives like a call recording that you made, like a, hello, I can't hear you, I'll call you back thing, right? Which is kind of cheesy, but it allows you to talk to a lot more people.
Yeah.
On the 59, what it does is it takes like 15 lines and splits them between 5 people. So if I'm on the line and number 2 picks up, it goes to the guy next to it. So if we get
Whoever's
like,
open.
whoever's open,
Yeah.
it has 15 lines
Okay.
dialing and it crosses them all to whoever's available.
So you have to have your team all dialing at the same time so that it knows who's open?
We don't have to, but it gets more and more efficient the more people that we add to the queue.
Okay.
So it's, again, was a nightmare to set up. It's
I can
expensive as hell.
Yeah.
Salesforce, like kill yourself before you start kind of thing. But for us, it was worth it because we're building the team out.
So you went from Mojo to that?
Yep, we were
Okay.
using Mojo and Top Producer, just like
Okay.
almost everyone.
Yeah.
And now we just went to Salesforce, and that's it's all dollar integration problems,
Okay.
but it was expensive. Okay. And we just talked about efficiency. Guys, the other cool thing with circle prospecting, if you work by sphere and referral, you're going to get dragged all over Hell's Half Acre. One of the nice little rewards that you get for circle prospecting, because it is a grind in exchange, you get to choose where you work. I used to do a ton of business right around my house. Super nice, you know? So in exchange for the fact that you're investing time in your business, you get the reward of not having to drive to Milton for a listing presentation as often as you would if you didn't have this as one of your pillars. Okay? And we already talked about that. All right, I'm going to just share some tools and tech. So one thing that I would say is if you're brand new to this, and just stop. Get out and door knock. Don't do any of this stuff. Just go door knock. Have your first 150 fall down before you even think about buying stuff or investing or setting something up. I had set, so I would wait until I made a good number of calls. I honestly called with my iPhone headphones for years. I still use them constantly. I was wearing them having a call as I walked in the building. And we were so cheap when we started cold calling that I didn't want to buy like a $500 headset. So you know those yellow things that you buy at the Home Depot for if you're using like a jackhammer? I just put those on over my iPhone headset until my ears hurt so much that I had to go buy a good one. So don't spend money. But if it's something that you're committing to long term, get a nice headset. Make sure it's noise canceling. We've had good experiences with these guys. It's not a plug, but honestly, they're pretty solid about returns, and headsets are considered a personal hygienic item, so usually you can't return them at all. And these guys, they've got a short wait list, and they actually pick up the phones and answer questions. So I bought these giant ones. I'll show you a picture in a minute. We've got these ones. They were literally designed for the aircraft level on an aircraft carrier, so they're like this big. We look totally like goofballs in the office when we're making our calls. They're super noise canceling, super rugged, and I think we spent about $400 by the time they were shipped and delivered to us, because it's American. But headsets, it's just a comfort item. It'll make your life a lot nicer if you're doing this for 2 hours a day. Take the time to invest would be my advice. Dialer and database, Mojo sells is great. There's really nothing wrong with it. It integrates with most database softwares, so you can push your contact info directly in. Think about integration. One of the things that you'll run into is if you want to use a dialing tool for follow-up, Mojo doesn't have an update existing contact option. It only has a put new contact in. So we were on Top Producer, and we have like our follow-up call list put in, and we'd be dialing through single line, never triple dial your clients, for the love of God. So we'd be dialing through, and then we'd speak to someone. We want to update the notes. We'd then have to go into Top Producer, find the contact, update the notes, update the callback date, and then go back into Mojo and hit contact. So it's awkward. It's a little funky. That doesn't make sense?
No, because I do it all in Mojo, because I'm on single dialer, so
But you're calling new clients. Like you're
No.
you're circle
No, I
prospecting?
loaded my other database in there, so it's basically my primary database now.
Oh, okay.
So I put my whole funnel as the groups, so who's on a new lead, who's on a 30-day plan, who am I trying to get an appointment with, past clients.
Are you keeping it anywhere else?
Yeah, I'm keeping it on a Buffini database too, so.
And has Mojo changed that they now can update the existing contact in Buffini as well, or are you just updating those?
Well,
in
what I've
Mojo?
ended up doing is using Buffini for my financial management. I'll put my potential in there so I can run my books sort of off
Okay.
that, other than QuickBooks. And then I'm basically just using Mojo and BombBomb
Perfect.
for
I was confusing you because what we used to do was keep everything in Top Producer,
Yeah.
and we would do follow-up calls from Mojo.
Yeah,
And if you hit the push the Top Producer button, it just makes a duplicate contact with a little more information.
okay.
So what we had to do was like pause Mojo, open up Top Producer, edit our notes, change the callback date,
Yeah.
update everything, and then go back in here and delete the call. So it was just a mess.
That's
So
why I
just,
gave up
you have to
trying
think about,
Yeah.
that's what I'm
It's
talking about.
now become my primary database because I don't
Great.
want to try and.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Just make sure that you have a plan for how you're going to maintain contact info. Directory services. So just start with something simple and affordable. Usually your office has one. Do you guys have one here? Like a directory service, like Easy Web Leads or something like that?
I think we have something.
Like a do not call checking scrub.
Well, we have
that
the
you can-
we have the WolfNet one that.
So
goes on, yeah.
just go with what your office gives you and then dig in. Mojo has a pre-built-in service too. For $25 a month, you can draw on a map and it'll give you all the numbers within a geographic polygon, which is
But
kind
they
of cool.
don't do not call us.
They do not. So you gotta export, you gotta scrub, and then you gotta re-import, which is a huge pain in the butt. Do not call. You let me into my next point. Use it, guys. Use it, please, for the love of God. The fines are massive. Your broker's gonna get an even bigger fine than you will, and you might not have a seat at this brokerage afterwards if you get more than one fine. So
I did come across when I started the dialing, I did, of course, you know, Murphy's Law, your first week, you piss somebody off, and I was trying to scrub it with the WolfNet one. And so what I did when I found out that my person calling it really pissed someone off is I went and I got a Tim's gift card and I wrote a nice note, because you got the address.
Yep.
And I went over and I said, terribly sorry, we've instituted a new system, we must have missed this one, sorry for the disturbance, and I left them a card with a gift card in it, and
literally,
I never had any problems.
the next thing I was going to talk about was how to handle misguided complaints. The truth is, in order to remain on the do not call list, you actually need to resubmit your name every year. Most people don't know this. So if you do get a misguided complaint, you say, hey, I'm so sorry. You know, we do scrub, but obviously we might have made a mistake here. Can I ask, have you updated though? Because you actually need to renew every year. Have you gone through doing that? If not, I can do it on your behalf. I'm so sorry. By the way, who do you know that wants to buy a house, sell a house, or invest in real estate?
How would you go about then updating it for them?
Talk to your office. They'll let you know. There's a do not call on the Mojo thing, but I would want to make sure that you had some kind of arrangement with your office that you can classify them as do not call. Because there's two levels, right? There's the
There's
generic
not.
do not call, and then there's the I don't
Official.
want this particular company to call me anymore. So it is our responsibility to do that. And your office should have do not call training. Usually they host it. What do they do, about once a quarter or something? It's usually mandatory that we attend this.
I think we mandatory once a year, but you're right.
Check in.
Is that?
I think Andy takes care of it, do not call it.
Well, but there's supposed to be a training.
Yeah, anyways, talk to Irene. I'm kind of put you on the spot, sorry. So these are the ones we use at my office. You can look them up if you want to order them. You can call like a headset supply company and just say, I want the giant Plantronics. They don't have a cool name. It's just like SRG 2012 something. But then think about your environment, right? Like we use these because I've got, a dozen salespeople on my floor making calls simultaneously. They're playing music to drown each other out. It's like a bit of a raw environment. You don't need to buy an aircraft carrier headset to work in your basement. So maybe if you're just at home alone, go for more for comfort. This is the one I use at home. They're awesome. They're Bluetooth, so I just plug them in, I make my call, and then I can wander around peacefully, enjoying my conversations. I don't have to be like tied to the desk. So think about that side of things. Okay, just a couple tips for success. I know that I go deep on circle prospecting, but it's usually what people are most curious about because, and I know a lot about it. So just in general, don't overcomplicate your plan. I see agents all the time who are like, yeah, I'm brand new, I've been licensed for a month. And I'm like, great, how many people have you spoken to? They're like, oh, no one, because I had to design flyers that explained how the market worked. And then I was going to go out and door knock in my neighborhood, but I figured I couldn't do that until I memorized all the sales stats for my neighborhood. So I've been memorizing sales statistics, and then I was going to go out, but I realized that my flyer was out of date, and I felt like I should have a website that went to my flyer, and I wanted to create a community group. And I'm like, no, you've got like a bullseye on your head. You need to get out and sell some homes as soon as possible, and just don't worry. You'll have every 1 in 1,000 people you speak to will say something just like totally arrogant, like, well, what's my house worth? And just come up with a generic pushback for that kind of stupid response. I used to always have a fun one that I'd knock on the door like, oh, well, you're a realtor, what's my house worth? And I'd be like, well, sir, your porch is worth probably around $40,000 to $50,000, and I'd need to see the rest of your house to be able to evaluate that. Would you like to set an appointment for me to come back? How could we know? And it's the same with the market, oh, well, how do you feel about this? Have some generic opinions. If they ask something really specific, say, look, this is a kind of a prospecting time block for me, so I got to keep getting down the street. I'd love to have a conversation with you, though. Why don't we set up an appointment? Guess what? Most of them aren't going to want, they're not going to want the appointment because they're not interested in doing anything, and they were just wasting your time. So help them help you and just move on. Guys, if you're prospecting a lot and you're not getting results, take the chest block challenge. You talk about this in bold. Put a timer on your phone and turn it up every time you get to go pee, get a glass of water, refresh your coffee, or look out the window. I had an agent who was struggling with his contacts. And he's like, yeah, I only got like 35 contacts this week. And I'm like, but you dialed for 10 hours. And we realized that he was counting the time that he went out to smoke. And I was like, you're taking a 15-minute smoke break every hour and you're surprised you're having trouble making contacts? So hold yourself accountable at a high level. Set yourself a daily, clear, but bite-sized goal. I would way rather see someone make a goal of talking to just 5 people a day than say, I'm going to talk to 100 people a day and never doing it. Set something that you can hold yourself accountable to, and then hold yourself accountable at a really high level. If you erase, you must replace. I love when I talk to new agents, they're like, I can't find the time to door knock. And I'm like, great, when is it in your calendar? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if it's not in your calendar, how are you going to go do it? So put it in your calendar, silly. And if something absolutely has to take that block of time in your calendar, that block doesn't get erased, it gets replaced with another spot. So I use Google Calendars for everything. I can show you my calendar. It would make you sick because I block everything down to the minute and I barely leave myself time to eat because I like to keep my days short. But the nice thing about Google Calendar is you can drag and drop. So if you plan to do 3 hours of lead gen on Friday morning and you have to do an open house, it's going to go in the afternoon or you're going to have to do it on Saturday. There's no canceling this stuff. So another thing I always see agents do, they're like, yeah, so Monday morning I start my week strong. I get up and I plan all the people I'm going to call, and I'm like, that's a strong start to think about getting busy. If you need to call people, if you have a time block for your lead generating, you're lead generating during that time. You're not thinking about lead generating. So if you need time to prepare in advance or you don't have them categorized already in your database, then do that the day before. Like finish your day by organizing yourself. And they always talk about, in bold, they talk about work will expand to the time allotted. Trust me, if it's 4 p.m. on Friday and you don't have your Monday call sheets together, you're gonna get them done in about 8 minutes. If it's Monday morning at 9 a.m. and you're categorizing your calls, you'll spend 3 hours on it. Does that make sense? Do you think that's true? Do you think that every one of us would totally do that? Like cozy with our slippers on and our coffee, checking out our call sheet? One thing that I love to talk about lead generating, and Keller Williams, it's a huge part of our culture. But you don't actually make money lead generating. You make money following up with the leads you generated. Only maybe 2 in 1,000 homes will actually book an appointment at the door or on the first call and do business with you at the first meeting. The majority of it is this long dance that we go through with people. So know that you make your money doing follow-up. And if you block time to lead generate, you generate leads during that time, but you also should block time to follow up. Does that make sense? Okay. When you're talking to people, you're going to be wanting to use a script. One of the beauties about scripting is it actually allows you to be more present. Because if you're sitting there thinking about what am I going to say next, you're never going to be able to actually listen actively as well as you could if you already knew what you were going to say next. So be scripted, but make sure that as soon as you get the script to a point that you're comfortable, you get comfortable listening to people and focus on what they're saying. Okay? Take action, don't overplan, and just get started. I can't say this enough times. Just get into the activity, forget about prep, forget about being comfortable, just get going. Okay? Okay, so I want to talk about web leads a little bit. This is driving me crazy. Just give me 1 sec. I want to do these one by one. Oops, oh no. Okay, sorry. Let's see if it works now. I did it on the wrong one. Pardon me, guys. Horribly unprepared.
You're totally prepared.
You're right. Okay, so web leads. Guys, you will meet so many agents who get into this business and think that they will survive on web leads. And I have a team that constantly talks about getting more leads brought to them. And then we go out and we invest huge sums of money in web leads. And we've actually done a very good job. We hired the best company in Toronto. We spent 25 grand on our website. We throw money at Facebook and search engine optimization and pay-per-clicks. The truth is web leads suck. They're a great source to have as additional fluff to fuel your business. They're incredibly expensive. They're very low connection. Like the connection that you have with them is at a really low level. And basically the web is just a cold place. So I'm not saying don't do web leads. Just know that there's no such thing as a great web lead. The majority of them, like 99.5%, if I was going to be exact, aren't going to transact. A good conversion ratio for web leads across top teams is 0.5% to 1%. So that's about what you get doing traditional lead gen, and you don't have to pay for it. So just be aware of what you're getting into with web leads. Everyone thinks it's like this magic pill that they can plug into their business and they're going to blow up, and they can be great. It's a great way to build your database, but just be aware.
Is there any marketing benefit to trying to generate web leads, like for your brand?
I think so, absolutely. Yeah, the more people on your emailing list, the better. And I'm not saying that everything about them is bad. I'm just saying, every time that people talk about web leads, they think it's going to be like a magic pill, you know? Oh, I'll just plug in web leads and I'll make an extra 100,000. There's a huge amount of work that goes into how you categorize and communicate with them. There's a huge volume of them that are going to be Mickey Mouse at 967-1111. And just know that coming in and you'll do well.
My analogy is they don't have a connection with anybody. They don't have a connection with other realtors. They're not loyal to anybody, and that's why they're there.
Yeah.
You know, they're signing up on your website for a particular listing information because they don't have anyone to go to, and they don't care if they do. You know, so I have that same kind of
Sentiment?
sentiment or success, or?
The only thing you really know from them is they're interested in real estate. And
But think about this, okay? We plugged into Facebook. So what we did was we would post pictures of beautiful houses. And I hear agents all the time, oh, I get 300 web leads every weekend from Facebook. I'm like, great. And yeah, they are cheap. But basically what we mean when we say that is you put up a picture of a nice house with very few details, you force them into a bottleneck where they have to have a forced registration, and you capture their information. Does that mean that they are buying the house, or did it just mean that they clicked on a picture of a house on Facebook? So there's levels to it too. Like if they go to realtor.ca and they fill out a request of you, that's actually a really good lead. That's a really, really good lead. Or book an appointment request, that kind of thing, killer. If they go on your website and they fill out a home evaluation, or they fill out a request to receive automated emails or information, medium, pretty good lead. If they come in through searched AdWords, like you're doing a pay-per-click, those are going to be a notch below the last. And social media leads, I'm not talking about social media referrals through your groups or spheres, those are killer. But social media leads, like the funnel process I was just talking about, those are ridiculously low. And they're cheap. You'd like a couple bucks a lead, but you're going to spend so much time calling people who are like, what did I do? Why are you calling me? No. You know what I mean?
so do you have a different touch plan for all those different types of leads, or do
Yeah.
you,
Yeah. I'm going to talk about that
Okay.
in a bit too. We'll go deeper. But yeah, we do. And you start basic and then you go more into it. A couple other things, you get what you pay for. I kind of just talked about that a little bit. Rule of thumb, if you're going to spend any money on web leads and you don't have a system to ensure that your speed of response is like minusculely short, you might as well just throw them all in the trash right away. What you'll find with web leads is that, I think this is one of my future points, I should move it up. You're either going to convert them in like 2 weeks or 2 years. One of two things is going to happen. You're going to find that half of a percentage that actually is looking for a house right now, and they're on the internet and they're on the couch and oh honey, wouldn't it be nice? And then you call them back and no, we don't have a realtor, everything goes well. You'll have these, very small percentage. And then what'll happen is, about a year in, you'll have all these people on your mailing list, and people just start putting their hand up, because a lot of people go on the internet as a casual way to begin researching. And the nurture cycle for them could be 12 to 18 months. So it's kind of in two waves, in my opinion, from my experience anyways. With web leads, set a heavy follow-up plan. I kind of alluded to this earlier when I was talking about door knocking and people being rude. I always say people are going to be part of your future or part of your past. So when web leads come in, it's our duty to get in touch back with them. And that could mean a lot of attempts, especially in the first few days. So don't feel bad about having a really heavy follow-up plan. If you're going to just start with web leads, just go with a full service provider. Like there are a whole bunch of companies that specialize in everything from building the website to capturing the leads to using their integrated CRM. And usually they have an IDX. I'll drop a few names in a minute. Just go with someone that's got it start to finish. Don't try to reinvent the wheel until you have a bigger reason to do so. Kind of like the Salesforce conversation. For us, we built a custom website because there's 13 salespeople on my team. For someone with a couple people, or if you're starting out, don't do that. Just get something that's $1,000 to build, and decide what you want to put into it every month, and that's it. One thing to maintain a keen eye on is how to protect your CRM. So with web leads, you're going to get a lot of web leads. A high proportion of them are going to be junk. So one of two things to consider doing. One, a lot of people use whatever CRM comes with their service provider as like a filter. So you'll get 1,000 web leads. 980 of them will stay in the CRM that came with the program you bought and just receive whatever is automated through that. And then you pull out the good ones and put them in your database. That way you're protecting your database from having 2,000 names added every year who are, Mickey Mouse at 9671111 or something to that effect. And then if you have a more robust database, you could put in categorization measures that would allow you to pull out the crap as you go. This is a lot more complicated. If you don't have someone who's in a role that would be responsible for that, probably stick to item 1.
Yeah, I want the automated CRMs as well, though. There's a couple of realtors, unfortunately, in KW that I Googled and I emailed them through their website just to to touch base with them,
Mhm.
and the system puts me on the automated, well, we see you haven't been to the website lately, and it's whatever the automated system is, that they just press go, and it's really annoying.
No kidding. And if you're gonna put someone on an automated system, make sure when they get back to you, you take them off the automated system. There's nothing more embarrassing than having a good conversation with someone and then getting a forwarded email back from them the next day being like, why did you send me an email saying that you wanted to talk? We spoke yesterday, or something like that. Like, it's really embarrassing when you don't pull them back out.
That's what's hard with the integration and using different systems, is to try to keep everybody straight on the automatic plans. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's a whole role in my
Yeah,
team.
it
Like,
is.
we've got 6 full-time admins, and one of them is like part of our executive team. Ashley, she's our director of lead gen and marketing, and she lives in this world. It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job. It's not something to be taken lightly. Again, you're either going to convert them in 12 or in a matter of weeks or 12 to 18 months. You need to have a plan for both. So when they come in, hyper aggressive for a short period of time, and then automated plan for a year and a half. Make sense? A couple of the names I hear a lot of happy success stories with: Agent Locators, great, we use them too. Boomtown, that one is a hefty investment, comes with a bunch of database software.
Does
And-
it work in Canada?
I think that Mike Clark is using it. I know people have used it.
Stopped using it.
I know, I don't know how well it works in Canada, so I'll leave it to you to
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
investigate.
it does work in Canada, we used it.
Yeah?
For a year and a half or so.
How was it?
Well, again, you talk about,
It's web leads?
yeah, it's web leads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, the automated stuff behind it is really amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because if they reply, then it puts them in this thing, and then it kind of shuffles them around as needed. The back end is really, really cool, but it is expensive. Depends how much time and money you want to put into that, right?
Yeah.
But it does work here.
Curator works well too. They've got heavy focus on social media marketing and stuff like that. A lot of what I've heard are very good follow-up campaigns, but they will only sell each postal code to 2 agents. So if your postal code's already taken, you're out of luck, which is nice in a lot of ways, but if you're like me and you want to take over the world or have a big team in multiple locations, it might only work once and then you can't use it next time you go somewhere new. So I didn't like it for that. Okay? Okay. Other lead gen pillars to consider. For sale by owners, these are huge in a lot of areas. We don't get as many in Toronto, plus most of the ones that we do have are already on Comfree or Property Guys. They're on MLS, they're under contract to an agency. You'd be in breach of RICO to call them, so we just don't focus on them because of that. Expireds, again, this is huge money in the States. We don't have authority to do this in Ontario because everyone signs that little do not call me thing. So again, a lot of people are doing it. I don't recommend it if it's against the law. If ever I, went somewhere where they were allowed, I would be thrilled to call the expireds. I would be so pumped about it. Sphere is an obvious one. We talked about that a little bit. Just listed, just sold. This is a great conversation starter. You have a success story, go and share it. Builders, a lot of people prospect directly to builders. I always like working in residential resale because I can spread out my opportunities and I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. You have 3 main builder clients that send you 80% of your business and 2 of them decide to go with someone else for any reason. It's a pretty major effect on your year.
They also want a major discount on commission.
They also want a major discount, and they're all basically snakes in the grass, as far as I'm concerned.
They really are.
They
Yeah.
really are.
They really are.
Yeah, they're not worth the effort.
I never did well. I know some people do tremendously well, but then you hear stories about, selling $1 million of commission that they change their mind on paying you, and you're like,
Yeah.
whew. Open houses, I lived off open houses for 5 years. From what I see in the field, it's getting harder. So I don't think that I would make this my only lead gen pillar. If you don't like doing open houses, I think you're insane. I'll just say that. You look at all the stuff that I've talked about, and in my opinion, in real estate, there's only 2 places that you can get ready to go business from. The rest of it, it's up to them when they're going to be ready. And it's referrals, which you don't have as much control over, and open houses. They're coming to you. It's
Yeah.
right now business. They're ready to go. you'd be insane not to sit at open house. I sat on an open house day every single weekend for 5 years, and it was my only lead gen pillar. I lived off open houses for 5 years when I was at Remax. Client parties, networking events, both of these can be great ways not only to actually get people to send you referrals, but just to reinforce the people who support you. Seminars, I know a guy in Hawaii, Dan Ihara, he's a member of Gary's group. He does 100% of his business through seminars. $67 million business, all seminars. Cool stuff. He actually doesn't even have to get people to come to his seminars. Because what he does is he goes after banks, mortgage brokers, financial planners, estate planners, and he says, if you can get 30 people in a seat, I'll host a free seminar for your sphere. Just give me 30 people. I'll present on any one of these 5 topics. You know, how to transfer your wealth to your kids, stuff like that. And the financial planners or the mortgage brokers are the ones who fill the seminar. He just shows up, presents to 50 people. He does all his business this way. How cool is that?
What is 5 topics?
They were simple.
Yeah.
He said his bread and butter was in the United States. There's this tax thing you can do where you package your assets before you die in a way that means your kids can assume them without paying tax. And it's complex.
Yeah.
So he would do a lot just through that one. And it would give him estate sales and stuff like that. How to stage your home. They're just starting doing one on, what was it? They're just starting one on how to flip, and a couple others. He did not do first-time buyers though, because we're all like, oh, first-time buyers, first-time buyers. They don't want to come to a seminar. They're 20-something years old. If you're going to do that, do a webinar. Make it convenient, right?
Do a whiskey tasting, something interesting. And then
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. You let me know if you're planning one of those.
Yeah, same.
All right. Allied Resources. We send so much money and business to people. Why do they not send us more back? It hurts my feelings. And I want you guys to get more referrals from these guys. And past clients, obviously, it's a great one. A lot of the time, guys, this is the same conversation you're going to be having when you're circle prospecting. It's just a slightly different conversation, you know. Insert new words here. That's what I've got on lead generating. What are your ahas? What do you guys, questions, things that popped out to you, things you might implement? What do you guys got? What's going through your heads? You just got here.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna throw you under the bus. I'm just joking. What did you get?
Well, something that comes back, just pick something that either you're good at or you like, or you're most comfortable with, but at least do it, like, every day.
Yeah. It blows my mind how many people get into this business and don't think that they should work for more than 3 hours a day. And I'm like, you're gonna be the... No, it's true. Do you not see these people? Oh, that's good. I guess I'll go home. And do what? If you heard of the 5 jobs of the real estate agent, like there's only 5 things we do that really make us money. Script and role play, build your skills, lead generate, lead convert, so work with the people that you spoke to, attend presentations and show homes, and negotiate. When you're getting started, you don't have to do the last 3. All you need to do is script a role play and lead generate. What the heck are you doing? You should be lead generating 8 hours a day, not 2 or 3. Get out there, you maniacs. Burn holes in your shoes and make some money. You've got a bullseye on your head. You've got 3 months to live. You're going to run out of money. Your wife's going to make you go get a job at Starbucks. Wouldn't you rather be a realtor in 3 months? Go meet people. Drives me crazy. Sorry. That sends me on a tangent every time.
Question on the lead follow-up. You were mentioning using scripts. So when you're following up on a lead, every situation is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So how do the scripts work with that? Are they questions, standard questions that you would ask that would lead into something else? Or?
Yes, and I mean, a lot of the time you're just going to be checking in on people.
Yeah.
When we are in a moment like we're in right now, when we have 60 days before they input this new stress test, like that is all we talk about on our scripting calls. How are we making sure, like right now, my team is taking every single lead that we have for Q1 and Q2 2018, and we're calling them and we're saying, look, I know that you're planning for next year. I want to provide you fiduciary services before you even get it into your listing period. So part of that is me making sure that I help you make the best decisions. I need 15 minutes of your time to sit down and make sure that you and your family know what the implications of this might look like. When do you have some time?
Can that work for buyers and sellers?
Yeah, because for sellers,
like listing people maybe in the spring.
especially for sellers.
Okay,
Because for buyers, they're gonna lose about 20% of their buying power.
right.
How could that not
That's
affect
what I feel.
the value of homes?
Yeah. I
It's
agree.
gonna be tough. If you think about what happened this year, April 20th, they put in the 15-point strategy, right? Did you read it? Did anyone read this?
Yeah.
Garbage.
It was all a joke.
I
They
know,
basically
yeah.
said nothing.
Yeah.
Sure, the foreign buyer tax, which represents maybe 10% of the market. Treb says 5, but they didn't survey in Chinese, and a lot of people who speak other languages didn't get their input. So I don't think it's accurate personally, because it was an English survey and it's for foreign buyers. Come on. But they basically did nothing. Like nothing. Like 10% of the market at 15%. What is that? That's like a 1.5% change that it should represent. And then the media just ran with it. People didn't know what to expect, so everyone just shut down for about 4 months.
Volatility.
It just caused volatility, but they didn't really, there was no reason for everything to happen. And now we can have a time lane that we know there's gonna be an 18% to 20% change in buying power. This should be the real one. But I feel like it might not be as bad because we know about it in advance, so the media can't scare us we'll see. But we owe it to our clients to have this conversation.
Well, I find that there's I'm sort of on the fence as whether I think there'll be a surge or not, because there are people that you would think would buy now while they have the buying power, but then the buyers also know the houses are gonna be cheaper in the spring too. So are we gonna get that surge
Well,
before?
I definitely wouldn't tell my buyers that I know it's gonna be cheaper. And I
But that's
definitely,
in my head,
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what I.
for my sellers too, I'm really careful about the wording.
Yeah.
It's not that it is gonna happen, it's gonna say,
It could.
well, do you think that this could have an
Yeah.
effect?
Here's what it is, what do you think that
Mhm.
effect will be?
Just quickly to come back to your point too, scripts for follow-up. Read Fanatical Prospecting. It's one of the best books I've ever read on sales. And he has a script for a follow-up call that I really love. He says you start with the intro, obviously, and then he says that you tell them the reason for your call, and the reason for your call is that you're calling to book an appointment. So when we're doing follow-up calls and someone's in the window, not if they're a year out, but if they're in the window or we want to actually, if our goal is to have an appointment with them right now, we tell them that at the beginning of the call. And then he says you give them a reason. People statistically are more likely to respond to your request for something if you bridge using a reason, and he says you use the word because. So an example would be, hey, it's Sean calling from the Path Real Estate team. I'm calling you to book an appointment because we're sitting down with all our clients to make sure that they have the information they need regarding the stress test in January. This could mean a major shift in your family's equity in your home, and I need to make sure that I know that as someone who's hoping to represent you, I give you all the information you need in advance. So we're doing 15-minute sit-downs with all our clients. We're doing them on Saturday morning. Would 11 or would noon work better for you and your wife to come into the office and let me give you all the info that you could need to make the right decision? So calling from the Path Real Estate team to book an appointment because, and then give them the reason. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Awesome. One more aha, guys. What do you got?
I love your, after the first no, maybe you don't want to think about your home, you've thought about upgrading or downsizing, under what circumstances would you consider moving? I really like that one. Robin's digging into our sort of cooler database, so
Awesome.
the lower end.
Lucky you.
coolers.
Most people don't have something like that. Irene's cooler database is probably like most people's prize plum.
And she's been able to move some people up, like actually found people who say, oh, something will change and, let's put the time and talk. But our script is, has anything changed with your moving plans? And typically it's no, unless it really is yes. So we're gonna work on that with these, combination of these lines.
Awesome. Great. Cool. All right, guys. We're going to talk about marketing. I start to move even faster at this point because I got a lot that I want to get through, and the prospecting part is usually where people have the most questions. So get ready. Marketing. So marketing is all about winning a position in people's minds. A high majority of people don't speak to more than one agent before they choose one. 76% of sellers only contacted one agent. 16 contacted just 2. Yeah, word. It's a lot of people who aren't going to go through a lot of interviews. Now, this is probably through a more median market. We're at a high price point, and we tend to have, in my opinion, the Toronto market is what I would call a high touch market. Like, we have high expectations. Clients want a high level of service. They know how much money they're giving us. We have to go a little further. So I think that in Toronto, it's a little worse. But the majority of the time, if you are one of the first 2 people to get in, you've lost the lion's share of your chance at getting the
It's
deal.
surprising they would just interview one when most people know 3 or 4.
Yeah. That again, our markets, this is from NAR, so this is from the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it is probably, 3 on average in Toronto. But it's still important that you have that slot in their brain. And this is what we're talking about, is getting people to think of you first when they think of real estate. So in the MREA, the model for marketing to people who you already have is that you categorize them. And there's 2 broad categories. Anyone ever heard this? Mets and non-Mets, right? And the idea is that you want to have a plan for every single human on earth, so to speak. So under the haven't Mets, we've got 2 groups that fall into that category. We have the general public, so people you don't know and who don't know you. And then you have a target group, people who you haven't met but you'd like to do business with. Again, could be geographic, could be demographic. Okay, so basically, haven't Mets, that's humanity at large. What do you think we do with them? Say nothing. Yeah, we don't do anything. Okay, then your target group is someone that you would like to do business with. We're not prospecting because we're talking about ways to get them by marketing right now. And we're going to talk about a plan for them. The KW model is 12 direct. So it's basically they're saying flyer them. Send them a piece of mail every month, 12 months of the year. Okay? And we're going to come back and dig in the specifics of all this stuff in a minute. But I'm just going to take you through. I'm going to start like 40,000 feet up and then we're going to get closer and closer to the ground kind of thing. Okay, so the rest of them are going to be Mets. So you've targeted your target group. They've come into your world and now they've met you. And we divide Mets into 4 categories. We've got our network group. So these are people who we've spoken to at least once, or they're on our email campaigns. We've got a loose relationship. We've got our allied resources. These are people who are essentially, think of service providers, people who we use in our business as a leverage tool for us to achieve our goals. Okay, so mortgage brokers, stagers, photographers, website design, graphics, delivery people, flyer guys. There's a huge amount of people in this group. We want referrals from these people, right? Don't they kind of owe us some referral? I think they do. Okay, we've got our advocates. So your network group is people who you targeted or came in contact with. They visited your open house. They think you're fine. They might even take your call. Your advocate group is people who actually refer you business maybe once a year. There are people who you're basically going to give every bit of marketing that you typically would have, and then some. You're going to start trying to bring them in. And then your core advocate group would be people who refer you, but they're also in a position that they can send a lot of referrals. So imagine, the owner of a sports team, the CEO at a company, someone at a relocation group. These people are poised to refer people real estate transactions. And you're going to treat them exactly the same as you treat your advocates, but better. These are going to be your lunch dates. Hey, I'm taking 4 people to the baseball game. I've got really nice seats. Whatever in that kind of range. These are people who you basically are going to spoil the hell out of. That make sense? Any questions on these groups?
With advocates, considering that like mortgage brokers and lawyers and whatnot.
Allied resources would be the mortgage brokers and.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not advocates. Because they're probably dealing with 5 to 10 realtors, maybe more.
Probably.
So isn't it hard to get referrals from?
From my experience, yes.
Yeah.
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 So the way I see it, there's 1 or 2 things that are going to happen with mortgage brokers. You're going to give unbelievable service, and you're going to be over-the-top communicative, and you're going to do things for me other than sending me referrals, like sponsoring my events, paying for prizes to my team, sponsoring my farm or my campaigns, and that could be a way that they could give back. Or we're going to go deeper, and we're going to have a really long-term relationship where me and you send like a crazy amount of business back and forth. The second one's hard to find. It's tough. Yeah. You know who's really good at that? Sean Leff. You know? Yeah, Durham guy. He's at Keller Williams Energy. Massive producer. He'll do 100 million and change every year. Very, very nice guy. He'd be happy to take your call if you want to pick his brain. He does, between him sending them and then sending him, he'll do 30, 40 transactions with a single bank.
How do you spell his last name?
LEPP. and it's SHAWN. Okay, so remember we were at the top of the funnel. We were talking about having a target group of people that we wanted to market to, right? And I said that you would probably put them on a mailing campaign. This is something we call the 12 Direct, and you might have heard of this. Basically, the idea is that it's something that you use on haven't mets, and you're trying to develop rapport and mind share. So you just want to basically slap your logo in front of their face as much as you can. You get like 3 seconds with a flyer. You know what I mean? You ever heard that? They pick it up, look at it, 1, 2, and it goes in the garbage. So it's more about imprints than anything. The concept is really simple. It's 12 direct mailers. So that's all that this refers to. Very, very popular with geographic farming. So that's usually where you'll find this. It can take a long time to be effective. You always hear this same story. Oh, I tried farming, it doesn't work. I sent 4 postcards over 4 months and I didn't get a single deal. I'm like, yeah, no, it takes 18 months or more if you don't door knock. If it was me and I was like about to start my first farm and had it planned out well, I'd do 2 flyer drops in a month and then a door knock to follow them up. You know, like I'd do a drop, I'd door knock. I'd do a drop, I'd door knock. So supplement it, guys. The other thing I would say, there's a lot of people sending monthly flyers. So if you actually want to take territory in your farm, yeah, it's going to be an investment. I would do 18. Like I'd probably do
We're doing 24.
24.
Well, maybe not 24. We do 2 a month except for August and December.
Exactly what I would say. You do
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
2 a month in February, March, April, May, and June, and then July and August. Well, maybe August because it's leading in, but you know what I mean? Think about
But when you keep doing that and you stop, people don't realize that you stopped. They just
Totally.
keep going.
Yeah, so, you know, balance cost effectiveness, but ideally, it's not gonna be once a month anymore, because everyone's doing once a month. Now, according to the MRMA research, their expectations, if you do this, is 1 in 50 people will transact with you. We're at a high price point. What do you think that means? They base these numbers on a $226,000 home in middle America. We've got $1 million, you know, 850 in a lot of markets. Do you think that if the home prices are 4 times as much, people would be 4 times less likely to move as often because of the friction costs? Do you think that that might also mean that you would expect 1/4 the ratio? I think yes. So expect probably a 1 in 200 or something like that for our price point. My opinion, you might prove me wrong. I just wouldn't budget for a 1 in 50 and be frustrated when I didn't get it, because we're in our own little bubble here in Canada. The only people I know that have a similar market to us, New York, Los Angeles. San Fran, Vancouver's kind of crazy, but you know what I mean? So just be aware of this stuff. The 8x8 is a cementing technique. So you've got this new person in your world, they just reached out to you. What do we want to do? Yeah, we've got them, like they finally responded or they finally reached out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cement ourselves in their mind. So the idea is 8 touches in 8 weeks.
Okay, I'm struggling with this one because I keep sort of changing on my system and I'm sort of swapping it between, you know, video emails and calls, and the email part, like to me, if I call someone 5 times and over a period of time, so I know they're not away and I don't get anything, I dump them. But the 8x8, like if you're trying to digitize that and you're going to send them 8 emails in 8 weeks, I think there's a piss off factor.
It's not just.
No, but
But
it's a combination of the call. So I'm sort of struggling with the piss off factor, I think.
From my experience, we tend to be on the shy side. So
Okay.
you'd be surprised how much, because you got to realize your emails, if you send them 8, they're probably only opening 2 of them. And if you send them 8 that are crap, yeah. But if
Yeah.
you send them 8 good emails,
Yeah,
so
but even 8 good ones. Like if I met someone and then I got 8 emails in 8 weeks,
Mhm.
it's almost like in my mind, then oh my God, what is this ever going to stop?
So I'll be honest, we also have toned this back a bit.
Yeah, that's okay.
We also
It's
toned
not
this
just
back.
me. Okay.
Our thing now, they get our monthly mailer. We
Right.
send out a spectacularly beautiful infographic on the market once a month that
Mhm.
is fun to read. We get a really high open rate. So when we get
Email
into a
it.
new conversation, it's all by email.
Yeah.
I stopped doing physical mail because it's
Yeah.
just, I spent $50 grand one year on 8x8 and I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So we have a really nice monthly email, and we send out a thank you card, and then they receive a call. Hey, I wanted to make sure that you got our email. I want to make sure you got our card. We don't want to pester you. We're going to send you good information only. We put a lot of effort into our market newsletter, and from there we try to keep
And then
it
you
a little
categorize them
softer.
for talk.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Okay.
there's this
That's what I
does
was
work.
finding.
This does work in a lot of markets. You got to suit it to who your clientele is, and you're
Yeah.
talking to these people, so you're going to know.
Yeah.
What do you use for email programs?
MailChimp, yeah, it's simple, it's cheap, it works.
And you just build it, so that newsletter, for instance, you build that yourself?
Yeah, yeah.
They have templates in MailChimp too, don't they?
We have templates. Mine's an infographic on the market though, and it's all custom. So we do one for Treb, and it's, you know, it's a generic template that we edit the little bars every month to match what came out. And then we do one that's specific to the area we're starting to fund. So, 8-week program, they receive a touch every week. I think this would be a great cementing technique for a web lead, for example. And if you were
Yeah.
doing a 2 or 3 month program, like an 8 to 12 week program, what you might do with a web lead is you might bang them a bunch of times in the first week, like 3 in the first week, 2 in the second week, and then 1 every week after. Something,
Yeah,
you
that
know?
makes sense.
Do what you feel is appropriate. You're the one talking to these people, so just be aware. You're gaining mind share, guys, and what you want to do is you want to start just by designing a generic 8x8 that would work on anyone. Meet the team, blah, blah, blah. And then you can customize them to all of your lead pillars. So if you do FISBOs and you're really good with FISBOs, have a FISBO 8x8, okay? I just love this. This is straight out of the MREA. This is just a great way to look at it, guys. You've got the same groups that we just talked about, right? So you start with the haven't mets, that's humanity at large. We've got our target group, there's a smaller number. And then we move them into our network group. This is where we take our target group, we do a 12 direct, right? Then we've got our network group. These are the people who've responded. We know them. They're not yet like our advocates though. These guys are gonna go on an 8x8.
Are they doing yours first?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. The people in this group go from an 8x8 into a 33 touch. So the idea is with the 8x8, it's a linear thing. So they receive 8 touches, or you could customize it like you mentioned, 8 touches that are in a chronological order. But then after that, you're not going to have 700 people in your database who are all at different points in a crazy touch plan. So they go through the chronological thing, and then they just go into a date stamped campaign. Everyone gets the same email on the same day after they graduate from the 8x8, and that's your 33 touch. The goal is to cement yourself in, and then just put them on an automated group where everyone gets the same stuff, and then you're moving them in and in, trying to get them to a higher level of response. Another great way to look at it is this page. Again, straight out of the REA. This appears in so many of the different courses. You've got your CRM. This is your world. You've got your haven't mets that you're bringing in. You're going to 12 direct them. The idea is that they would spit out new business, which you would 8x8 to build the relationship, then 33 touch. Spits out repeat referral. And it just keeps chugging. If you're trying to figure out how to do your lead flow, put this on the wall above your desk and start drawing.
For a mail campaign, for a newsletter, what do you think is sort of, or what's the range and what's the ideal number of people to be mailing out to? Some people have 2,000, some people have 300.
If you're going to start,
MREA, 5,000,
5,000?
that's the goal.
with that being said, start small.
Yeah.
I would start, like Gary Keller says, be the master of the block, then master the subdivision, then master the city, right? Like, don't start with 5,000 and not have a plan to door knock them all. You start with, I would think, wouldn't you start with like 500 or 1,000, something affordable? Do that at a high level, and then take it to territories. Just keep on grabbing more postal routes.
I'm talking about like people in your database that you have mapped. I'm not talking about farm.
Oh, well then,
Yeah, but nurture?
then infinity would be ideal, but short of that, we'll take as many as you've got, kind of thing.
Sean, I'm gonna have to probably leave it before you're done.
No
So
problem.
at this point, I'd like to ask my question, because
Yeah,
for us, our past clients in Sphere and then the group of the nurturers,
yeah.
they're all on more or less the same either email or hard copy list, except of course past clients get birthdays and calls and anniversary calls, all that stuff that Lisanne mentioned. So our struggle right now is because we know that it's a database of almost 2,000 people. So trying to figure out how I categorized them was by what I thought they might want to receive. So we have some people that are unsubscribing because they don't want to see listings every single week, even if they are looking to move. But then past clients, I'm hesitant to turn that off for some of them, or for them, because some of them really, really like seeing all of that. So short of calling every single person and saying, how would you prefer to be contacted? Do you have any ideas about how to split those two groups, if to split those two groups?
So, in terms of getting their feedback, you could use, I would use like a SurveyMonkey tool. I would just send it out and say, hey, we want to send you the information that you want. Here's like the 7 different things that we're sharing with our network. Choose which ones you want. And then leave the generic.
Or what about unsubscribe? Like if they want it, they can just unsubscribe.
Yeah, but
Well,
the
they're
goal
all
is that they
about
don't do
that.
that because you want to
That's
market to
the
them.
goal. So I haven't done a SurveyMonkey, we've sent out an email and.
Can I share one more thing on how we look at this?
Yeah.
I look at the 33 touch. They say you should send 33 or it's moving to 36, whatever. The way that I see it, only about 20 to 24 of those should go to absolutely everyone. And then you supplement with groups. You know, so you've got your 24 touches, and it's basically like the next slide, I think. Okay, no, it's not. So you've got, you know what? We'll just jump ahead and do the 33 touch slide.
So while you're looking for that, so we do video emails with just about every single one of our listings. And then we send those to everybody that's on the email database.
Yep.
So that works out, I mean, we're not at 33, I mean, sometimes we're at 60 patches, or between.
Which could be too much.
Right?
Which could be
It's
too much.
too much.
Yeah.
Because you've already got your listings on all your email as your footer. So if you're nurturing, you're not looking to buy or sell, and you're getting all these listings.
So
Some of the
what?
people really like that, yeah. So how do you figure out who to not send to?
That's just going to be hard mining. You got to either have conversations or you got to do a SurveyMonkey thing, or one of the things in Mailchimp that you can do is you can categorize. You can have subcategories. So they segment your list. They'll have you have 5,000 people in your database, and that's your list is 5,000 people. But within that, you have people who are assigned to receive your weekly email updates or your weekly listing updates. And then there's other people who are assigned to also receive this. So they could be part of all of it, or they could unsubscribe from portions of it. So you might look at segmenting your existing list. But the way that I look at it, Irene, is you've got your typical 33 touch. So everyone gets an idea of what the 33 touch is basically, right? So, you've got your 14 that are just a combination of mailings, letters, cards, emails, and drop-offs. That's just going to be standard. Everyone gets it as a blanket. But then why don't you have the rest of the 19 touches be based on their stage of their transfer. So if they just moved in, they'll get 5 a year that are about maintaining their home instead of planning to buy, which would be the 5 that you send people who are planning to buy. And if there's someone who you did a transaction with, they get a birthday call and they get an anniversary card and all these other little things. So what I would do is I would just set a standard blanket approach that everyone gets and let that be like the base. No one gets less than, 2 touches a month or 20 touches a year, something like that. And then you have segments within that they could assign to different lists. So if someone chose everything, they get way more than 33, but most people just say, well, I only really want this and this. And then you, based on whether they're a past client, a future potential, a nurture, a lead, if they're active, if they're inactive, you could have different categories that have different campaigns associated with them. It'll get complex, so be careful.
I guess having unsubscribe is almost like putting a hand up too, isn't it? In the sense that you could call them and say,
yes. And
well,
and
what was the
done-
reason
I've
for
done
that unsubscribe? I want to make sure you have the right information.
I've done that. Some people don't even have the unsubscribe, right? Like I had a good client unsubscribe, and I called her and said, hey, what's going on? And she said, what? And she didn't even know she unsubscribed. And she would refer. So yeah, absolutely. It's a good opportunity, like you said, put their hand up, call, and say, hey, what's going on? Do you want to do this? And get that.
Well, in the unsubscribe too, if you're using, I've used Mailchimp, so I'll just use the example. But in the unsubscribe, if I segmented my lists, then they would hit unsubscribe and it would be like, okay, thank you for unsubscribing. By the way, which ones did you want to unsubscribe from? Because this isn't just one email that you're on 6 different campaigns. You choose. So that way, maybe they would go in and they'd say, actually, I do want to receive her you know, past clients rewards program and name them something colorful, right? Does that help a bit?
A bit.
Yeah. I think we'll bounce around a bit.
It's,
might
I mean,
come up with
it's
some-
not an easy answer.
Yeah,
It's
and
26 years worth of
There's no
stuff.
perfect solution to anything in this category. It's, you
Yeah.
know, what will
Yeah.
cause the least bleeding is kind of what we're going for, right?
Yeah, 'cause you don't wanna cut people off because they hit an unsubscribe button and then all of a sudden they don't get the good stuff that they wanna get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no problem, no problem. I feel like we've dug in a lot on this, guys. Do you have questions about the 12 direct, the 8x8, and the 33 touch?
So you set up your MailChimp specifically to cover this. So you have like, how much of your touches are via email versus hard copy? Like, do you have a list of hard
I
copy?
don't do anything by hard copy anymore.
Nothing?
We're gonna start farming, because we just finished renovating a building, so we're gonna take 3,000 homes around our building. We're gonna start physically farming that. But, it's a long up-road battle, and
So even with your Mets, you're not sending
you
anyone?
know how much a stamp costs? It's like $1 to send someone something.
Yeah, that's the only other one
We're, on my team, one of the feathers we have in our cap is we're so well organized in the way that we categorize and manage follow-up that very little falls through the cracks. We know when you're planning to move, you can't escape an appointment with us. So sure, you know, we'll have to fight a little harder at the table because they weren't getting our flyers, but we were spending so much money on damn stamps. Because if you have a farm, you have 2,400 people along mail routes, it's really cheap door to door because they don't get addressed, they don't get stamped, they just go in the flyer, you pay for the box to get delivered. If you've got, like us, we do a lot of circle prospecting, we've got people everywhere. So it was a stamp for every touch, and it got insane. I can't do it. I got 3,000 people that are getting a piece of mail every month. Like,
You don't send your thank you cards out by stamp?
we do one thing. It's the thank you card in the mail with a business card. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to staying in touch. Yeah.
Would you count, I guess, like, social media, like, posts, those are not touches, it has to be, like, email?
Social media, a lot of the posts that you post, they're not going to see.
What
Unless
if you
they're-
know, like, you specifically targeted certain or boosted or?
I
just
wouldn't,
don't
I
know,
wouldn't
right?
count it as a touch
Yeah.
because it's so passive.
Just so many
But
of
even if
them.
you have a farm, like a farming group, like say, like a page specifically that people have to follow or sign into, they're gonna see everything that you send. It's not gonna,
I
they'll
think-
at least see it.
I think in that situation, if I was to say what I think best practices would be, if you choose to count what your touches are in a group like
Oh, I
that,
wouldn't be
go
in
for
touch
it.
with that, but.
Yeah, it would be a hell of a lot more than 33. It'd probably be like a 300 to 500 touch plan. You know, because people, social media is like popcorn. It comes and goes really quick.
Does MailChimp just do emails or does it do other stuff?
Just email. I think they
Is
make
there a lot
landing
of-
pages and capture tools too, but it's mostly just
Is
email.
there a lot of number per month, max?
Yeah, they've got billing plans based on how many subscribers you have.
Yep.
So once you pass a certain number of subscribers, then you have to upgrade your plan. It's cheap. Up to 2,000 subscribers is free. So for those of you on my phone with mailing, I don't even need to pay. It's like
What is it,
1,000
Liz?
people.
Buffini has a maximum a month, 2,000,
Um,
something like that.
yeah, no, I find I do all my mailing through BombBomb because you can choose for the video or not choose the video, and that's where all my lists are sitting, so.
Yeah, BombBomb's great. You have the
BombBomb's
highest
awesome.
open rate of the
Highest
industry in
open
BombBomb.
rate, great support.
Like BOMB, like the boom.
BombBomb, it's basically just an integrated email video software. So, okay, one of the conversion strategies that is being used by a lot of teams that isn't anywhere in the MREA or in any of the courses, but you'll probably hear about it at Family Reunion and Mega Camp, is 10 days of pain. Basically, remember how we were talking about web leads and I was saying like they're either going to do business in, you know, a matter of months or it's going to be a year to a year and a half. 10 days of pain is designed to flush out the right now business. Basically, it's a get in or get off the bus kind of mentality. And basically the idea is that it's designed to, the idea is that you contact them a minimum of once a day for 10 days. My agent on my team who has the highest web conversions, she does 3 to 6 touches a day for the first 3 days when she gets a web lead. Call, email, text the first day. The next day, call, text. She's banging 8% appointment ratio. So she gets 100 web leads, she's booking 8 appointments. She's a machine. Okay?
Does she want to relocate to your region?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know. No, she's very loyal. We've implemented this. You know, the majority of web leads are going to be crap. So why not figure out what the good ones are quick and save yourself calling them over the next few years? And hey, if they say piss off or unsubscribe, great. One less person that you need to try to follow up with over the coming years.
So just thinking about that and follow up and stuff, what is your cutoff for, say you meet somebody at an open house, they're a little warm, not like super serious, not going into the database for follow-up. Yeah, just, and so you want to keep in touch with them, you follow, like say I've met people at an open house in July that I've hosted, I've now sent them listings for other things in the neighborhood, I've called them, I've emailed them, I've texted them, it's now October and I've received 0 response to everything.
I would, so on our team, we've got a really nicely categorized database, and everything's arranged by tags. So we have, you know, tens of thousands of people who are kind of really soft leads, like what you're describing. I want them in my database because I want them to be receiving my marketing. But what we do with open house leads, first of all, call them back the same day. Everyone calls on Monday or Tuesday. You sat in the damn open house for a couple hours on Saturday, you might as well just take half an hour and call the good ones back. It makes a huge difference. The agent who sat at the house after you is going to call them back on Tuesday and they're going to say, actually, you know what, we put in an offer on that house with the agent who called us back from the other brokerage that night, sorry. And we have this happening on our team. It's really, really kind of fun. I would tend to say that with open house leads, I would also put them through something kind of like this. Maybe not 10 days of pain, maybe, you know, 4 calls and 4 texts and a number of emails in the first week to flush out the ones that are going to be communicative. Remember, this is your best chance at right now business. From there, what we did on our team, we put them all in the database. They get our drip campaign. So for you guys, you are protecting a very high caliber database. You might consider just putting them in MailChimp or something like that so that they're getting your drips. And then on our team, what we did is we took all those open house leads and all those crap email web leads that we didn't get through to the first time or said I'm not moving or something like that, and we just keep them. So I've got these lists available. A new agent comes into my group and he says, hey, I'm getting good at cold calls. Do you have something, you know, do you have some leads for me? I'm like, yeah, I've got thousands and thousands of old open house leads. I've got thousands and thousands of old web leads. Remember, it takes 12 to 18 months for a lot of these web leads to convert. Why not leave that meat on its own? They might have said I'm not moving when you first called them, and then their plans changed, or they got more serious, or they developed their interest. So we just have them sitting in bulk, and we'll just put them on the power dialer, and we'll just power dial them a couple times a year. You know, yeah, you want some meat on the bone? You're on my team. Awesome, come on board. I've got all these old sign-in sheets. You can just work through them. That's way better than a cold call, don't you think?
Do you call everybody back that comes to the open house, or just the ones that said they were in the market for the next, like how do you?
We call everyone back.
You just call
You ever walked into a retail store and you're like searching for a pair of jeans, you really need a pair of jeans, you're in a jeans store, and the retail worker comes up, the jean specialist comes up and he's like, hey, can I help you? And you're like, no, I'm just looking. And you're like, weird, why would I say that? It's like a knee-jerk response to get off my heel kind of thing. Same thing with realtors, right? Like, we're pesky. So, yeah, I don't care what they put on the sign-in sheet. You tell me you're never moving or you live in your mom's house for the rest of your life, I'm still going to call you. It's like that I have an agent. That's basically like to people visiting an open house, that's like a code saying, do you want me to call you incessantly? You know what I mean? So they just all say, yes, I have an agent. Then you're like, awesome, cool. What's your agent's name? And they're like, well, I don't know.
Can't remember.
It doesn't sound like you have an agent to me.
So what's your script you use when you call them that night?
I'm looking for feedback from my sellers. I really appreciate you guys coming. I just wanted to hear what you thought of the house. By the way, do you have any feedback for me? What did you think of the price? Are you considering an offer? Did you see any other houses that you liked? You know, hey, you want to go back for a second showing on that one? I was planning to go look tomorrow. What a coincidence. I've got an appointment booked. Would noon work for you, or should I bump it up a little earlier?
What kind of script do you use for like the Deadwood stuff that they're calling months later?
For calling back old web leads or old open house leads, we find that we get a really nice response when you just call them and you say, you know, you came through one of our open houses, and guys, please, if you're doing open houses, write what open house they were at on your sign-in sheet, because the first question they're going to ask is, oh, which one? And you're like, I don't know, you're just a sheet of paper and a garbage bin to me. So write down the address, because they are going to ask. What we do with these, we call them back. You did an open house at 123 Main Street, you got a generic sign-in sheet, name, email, phone. When they give it back to you, write the address of the open house at the top. Because when you're going back through your sheets a year later, you're going to want to be able to say, oh, well, it was at 123 Main Street. You remember I was the blonde lady. We had a great chat. So our script for these guys is, you know, you visited one of our open houses about a year ago. And we just always like to follow up because we're just interested. I want to ask where you ended up buying. Oh my God, you haven't bought a home yet? How come? And because a lot of the times they're not going to be successful. So where did you buy it? And then, you know, because if you call them and say, hey, are you still thinking about selling? You're going to get that same kind of get off my ankle thing. But if you call back and you say, hey, where did you buy it? It becomes conversational. Oh, you know, we had a baby, trouble happened, our realtor wasn't able to find us. Oh my goodness, really? Sounds like you worked really hard and we were let down. So sad. Does that help?
Yep.
Cool. All right, let's cover ahead. Any odds for marketing and managing leads, guys?
Oh, I do have one question. You said, and you sort of alluded to it, you said you segregate your database in a very detailed manner, and it sounds like it's date stamped based on when you think they're gonna buy, or?
Yeah, so our, like, you know, the trapeze artist has that net underneath him? If he messes up, he falls in the net. We have the same thing for our database. So we market the heck out of them. But the way that we've got like a Hail Mary is everyone's assigned a follow-up date. And when that date comes up, it's the responsibility of the agent who owns the lead to call them back. If he goes overdue by even a day, we've got a counter, so I can show you a graph that goes to Dylan, my sales manager, every single day, showing how many calls behind every agent on the team is. So he's watching like a hawk. And if they hit 5 days, the lead gets reassigned. As long as it's not their sphere. But I swear to God, if you leave that, I will come in and take your leads and give them to someone else. Don't leave meat on the floor. We spend too much energy trying to get this stuff. And it's one of those yin and yang things, you know. You might lose one, but you might pick up one from buddy over here.
What system are you using for that?
Salesforce. You can build anything you can dream of in Salesforce. It's just incredibly expensive. But we found, if ever you do decide to go down the route, call me. We found these guys in India that are like, you call Salesforce and ask for a web coding guy, it's like $200 an hour. We found guys that are like $10 an hour in India, so. Okay, I want to speed ahead. We've got 30, 40 minutes left with you guys, and I want to make sure we get through this. I got 2 more sections left. We're going to talk about managing a database, okay? So, one of the questions I like to ask people is, how many people do you know by name? Okay. How many would you say you remember details about their family and their work and their circumstance? 150, 200, maybe 170 people? They've studied this in business and they found that people can only actually have a real relationship on average with about 150 people. So, if you want to hit big goals in real estate, you're going to need to know more than 150 people and you're going to need to know details. You need to categorize them and put them in a database. The average $1 million producing agent has 3,600 people in their database. Okay? So, what we've got to do is we've got to build a system around this. If you go out and do your first door knock, you're going to be like, how could I forget these people? We had a great talk. They told me about their plans. Add 1,000 people to that list, you'll forget them all. So, just keep as much info as you can. Truth, your database is the only real thing that you own in this business.
So do you target to sort of have 3,600 people per person on your team? Is that how you would?
We focus primarily on nurturers, not just nets.
Right.
A lot of people, when they say 3,600, that's 3,600 people who are not planning on moving or living in their farm. When we talk about when we look at it, it's all about, obviously we want as many as possible, but we are only following up with people that have a plan to move. So it's a lot less. It's a lot less. Okay? So what you want to get the first time you speak to someone: name, phone number, email address, home address, notes on the conversation. Notes. You might not think it's important. It is important. Source, activity level, status level, so you can categorize them: ABC, contact type. Some other stuff that you might consider: birthday, spouse birthday, children's and pets' names, anniversary of purchase, job position, company. Guys, why not have their mortgage renewal date? Wouldn't that be a nice thing to know? Yeah, when do you think they're most likely to either sell or refinance to make an investment? It's their mortgage renewal date. Like, why not have these little extra bits of information in our database helps us help them, you know? Which CRM is the best? A lot of options out there. Which one is the best option?
Whichever one you like to use, you're most
Whichever
comfortable.
one you will use.
Whichever one you will use, absolutely. The one you use is the best database, guys. So just choose one and work with it. Couple things. Broadly speaking, there are a few main categories. Like there are ones that are going to come with the leads that you buy. Don't forget, if you go down that route and you stop using those leads, you don't have the database anymore, or it'll probably cost you more than it should. This would be like Curator, Boomtown, for example. Agent Locator does this too. Another thing to consider is tools, right? Like if you have a number of tools, like Mojo, think about integrations and think about which CRMs might help you in your daily efforts, okay? Mass email sends, label printing, customizable fields, and dialers would be examples of that. Mwah. Will you write me an evaluation later if I remind you?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Danny.
And consider hiring a virtual assistant to manage inputting information. Remember, your 5 most important jobs are script and role play, lead gen, lead conversion, appointments, and negotiating. So I always see people who try to leverage lead gen. I'm like, why would you give that to someone who works for $10 an hour when you're worth $3,000 an hour? Keep the $3,000 job and do the data input for $10 an hour. You're better at this. Don't leverage this. I know it's not the most pleasant thing you do every day, but it's high paying. That's why we make the big bucks. So me, for example, you know what one of my success hacks was? I make a lot of notes. I recruit, so I meet people and I learn about their business. I figure out what they need, and then I usually have a few meetings with them between the time that they join my team, right? So there's a lot of information I have to store on people. You know what I hate? Coming home at 5 p.m. and spending 2 hours inputting notes. Plus, if it's not fresh in your memory, you're not going to put as much down. So what I always use, what I've started doing, which is so awesome, is I have a VA who works for me for 3 hours every morning, and I send her voice memos. Finish up a meeting. Yeah, I just met with this guy, here's what we talked about, here's his history. You do this at the door. If you're cold calling, instead of stopping and making all these notes, just put on voice memo, talk to yourself for a little bit.
Right?
Just exactly what doctors do. And then email the voice memo to your assistant. Have them do all that stuff. Set a callback date for November 23rd when his sister's ready. Mark him as a AAA. She's going to be ready to transact. Put him on this mail campaign and assign the lead to me under the CRM. Okay, love you. Bye. Done. You go back and keep selling because that's your dollar paying activity. Make sense? I can't say how much I recommend doing this. It's awesome. Okay, I want to talk a bit about branding and messaging. Okay? One of the things that you want to think about is just having a really clear purpose in the way that you brand to people. So think about what separates you from your competition. And this should be what your message is supporting. Make sure that your branding and your messaging supports referrals. Amy Youngren, you guys know her? She's got one of the best slogans. It's something along the lines of experience is worth talking about. It's an embedded command. Her slogan's an embedded command. She's telling people to talk about doing business with it. How great is that, right? Make sure that it's going to be something that's going to increase inbound calls. So give people a reason to call you. Elements of a brand. So things that you probably want to consider adding would be your business name, your phone, your photo, and your name. Font usage, guys, please. Oh my God, 1 font per marketing piece. You see agents who have their name written all swirly, and you're like, you know, you're probably a great agent, but if I can't read your name on your business card, or if I have to go like this to try to figure out what it says, like, just make it easy on people. Like, remember, not everyone's got great eyesight. Your motto, your phone number, your domain name, your email address. And then there's a bunch of intangible stuff that you can do to brand yourself. So think about little things, like the way that you answer your phone. Numbers listed on your card, the style of dress, your car, your use of technology, your website, your level of service, the area you work in, your accessibility, and again, the area that you're working apparently. Don't go for everything. You choose your pillars, but then hone in and kind of lean into them, right? There we go. Okay. Clarity of branding. So one of the things that they talk about is if you're going to be creating a message to someone, go after one of the 4 H's, okay? So, make them think. Heart, appeal to their emotions. Humor, make them laugh, but be sure that you're funny, not offensive, and you don't put yourself in a position where you're just the gag reel. We're professionals, so maintain a balance. You can be fun, but make sure that they still think of you as a professional. And hard, give them an offer that they can't refuse. This is a great place to start if you want to make sure that any one piece of marketing that you send out always has at least one of these. Appeal to them. Think about it, making them think. You're going to force them to spend a little longer with your marketing piece. Heart, appeal to their emotions. Ever heard this? Logic makes you think, emotions make you act. Get them emotional. Don't focus too much on logic. Humor, make them laugh. It sets you apart. They're going to remember you. And hard, give them an offer that they can't refuse. At least one, maybe two of these on every marketing piece. And then always include a call to action. Who here is guilty of sending out a bunch of pictures of houses with your name on them? I've done this so many times, you know. Just listed, photo of house, phone number. Why would they call you? You haven't given them a reason to call. You're just sending out paper photos of houses. It's so stupid. So make sure, just anytime that you publish anything, make sure that you put a call to action on it.
Is there a better call to action than like for more information, or if you want to book a private showing, call me, or?
It'd be very specific to the message that you're sending.
Well, I'm just saying, like I do, you know, I'm a new agent, so I'm doing, you know, other agents will say, go ahead and pretend it's your own and put it on Facebook, right? So I'll make a funny thing, and I'm getting lots of Facebook likes and stuff because they're funny and whatever, but I'm not getting those conversions when I'm saying, hey, if you want to.
So you look at the market, you know, big changes coming down the pipeline, find how this will affect your purchase or sale.
Okay, that's good.
You know, if you're comparing a home, if interested in this home, let me know and I can tell you what your home would look like so you can figure out your financial plans. There's all kinds of things that you could do. Go specific maybe.
Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Awesome. I want to talk about UVP. Everyone knows what this stands for?
Unique value proposition.
Yes, sir. I like this guy. All right, your UVP is your unique value proposition. Typically, agents focus on money and time, which is fine. And you can do that, but you're going to sound like everyone else. And the problem is that we always walk in assuming that people want to sell for the most money in the least amount of time. Not always, right? You guys have been doing this a while, right? Have you ever walked into a listing presentation, you ask a couple questions, and then they drop a truth bomb on you? I had this one time, I went in, and a lot of the time now we assume that people want staging, so we always talk about staging. And I came in after another agent, and I go, so, what do you think about staging? And the woman goes, staging? I hate staging. And I hate that other agent who told me that he wanted to stage my house. What, is my furniture crap? I was like, sweet, I just won the listing and saved $4,000. Like, why not ask a question before you make assumptions, right? So just be careful with assumptions. A lot of the time your UVP in a market like ours, where we have a higher price point, would be added values. So like for us, we built out a concierge service where we will literally facilitate anything you could need in terms of improvements to your home. So we're able to build ourselves into people's plans, and no one else that we compete with offers this. So we're able to put ourselves at a real standing point above our competition. Something like that could be a great option. If you're going through...
So expand on that a little bit, so then would you have workers that'll go in and do stuff? And
Exactly.
how do you
We
plan
don't
that?
pay, we facilitate. So we come into your home, and there's usually 10 or 15 things that you should do to get more money for your home. We send in our designer, they can create a complete list. Our designer comes back to the agent and our concierge manager. They agree on what's realistic and feasible. We go back to the client and say, here's the deal. Great news, if you spend $5,000 or $8,000, you should net an additional $40,000. Are you willing to do this? They say yes. We say great. We'll have 3 painters come to quote on the drywall. We'll have X number of plumbers come in and fix a leaky faucet, and we make the whole thing a seamless process. Conversion-wise, this took us from, most agents nowadays are getting like 1 in 4, 1 in 5 listing appointments. On our team, we get 80-90% of the appointments we go on. We just added this little bit of extra service.
You don't pay for these, you just facilitate, and do they have to pay you for the concierge service? No.
No, it's part of my
Right,
listing
it's just
package.
part of your
Yeah.
listing.
I've got 6 full-time admins. I can afford this kind of extra care because I have, by economies of scale between all our agents, we're able to offer more.
It's like Alex Robb does that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple people doing it. Most people, if you go in against the 4 average agents, you'll usually win if you offer something like this. As an individual, be really careful, because if you go in and offer this stuff, suddenly you're gonna be doing the 80% for 2 months and you're not gonna be able to get out and sell. So I don't recommend it for individuals. It's a tough game out there, right? So if you're working on your UVP, run it through the 80% Who Cares test. This is from Rowena Patan. She's a member of Gary's group. She actually wrote a book on writing your unique value proposition.
Oh, what's it called?
I think it's called Unique Value I'm not sure what the book's called. I think it's called Unique Value Propositions.
What's her name?
Rowena Patan, P-A-T-T-O-N. You can find her on Facebook. The 80% Who Cares test says that it's not a unique value proposition if 80% of your competition is doing it. So don't go in and say, oh, well, you should hire me because I'm going to hire a professional photographer and make you a brochure. Yeah, obviously we hope that you would do that. And 2 is the Who Cares test. If you can tell them your UVP and they would be likely to say the words, well, who cares? It's not a UVP. I'll give you an example. Oh, well, I bake pies for all my agent open houses. Who cares? Shouldn't you be out meeting buyers to buy my home or doing something that would contribute to me selling, not baking pies? So just put it through that and you'll be sure that you're safe. Some basic guidelines for referrals. Make it part of your everyday communication. Again, you're not going to get a referral every time you ask, but if you just have it be on every subject line, on every, before you hang up, at every client party, when you meet with your sellers for the first time and the last time, just make it all the time. Educate them on how to give them to you. Ask continually and reward. Rewards, you always reward the action, not the outcome. You reward the action of them giving you a referral. It's not their job to qualify your referrals. All referrals get a reward regardless of the outcome. Okay? Come on, baby.
What kind of reward, like what do you
Depends. If it's a lay down listing referral from a past client, I'd probably be inclined to give them something nice. Like for me, that's a bottle of champagne, a real champagne, not crap. If it's a name and a number for someone who had a question about things, I would probably send them movie tickets, or I would, drop off a gift certificate or something like that. What's going on?
Battery's dead?
Something. Well, I don't know. The light's on. Come on, baby. Treat the referral source even better than the referral, and show your appreciation at every phase of the referral. You receive it, you say thank you. You let them know once they're pre-qualified. You let them know once they're under contract, and you send them a thank you card to let them know when they move into your new home. Recognition is as important as a gift. Even if you don't send movie tickets or a gift card every time you receive a referral, call them and grovel. This is important to us. I can't thank you enough. Some ideas: gift baskets, movie passes, client appreciation, dinner party event. Like if someone sends you a referral, why not buy them lunch? Let me ask you a question. Who here eats lunch? What's an extra lunch? You just got a damn referral. You get an hour of FaceTime. Hey, where do you work? I'm going to come to you. Handwritten thank you notes, free hat, shirt, custom socks, book, home store, gift card, restaurant, gift ideas. All right, any ahas, guys? We're right near the end. I know, I'm flying through stuff here.
Yeah, systematizing even that, like the reward, referral reward, that should be in the system too, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
My aha is that to emphasize, we don't have to spend money. You just go and don't knock and meet people, and that would be the most effective way of
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing's better than referrals. It's hard to put the gas down on referrals all of a sudden when you want more of them. So it's one of those things, right? One more aha. What do you guys got?
I should have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Value proposition, should that be incorporated into your tagline, or should that just be communicated another way in your marketing pieces?
It depends. I think that there would be a number of ways, right? Like if it's really short and simple, maybe it is your tagline. If it's more like mine, I could make a tagline around it because it takes a little bit of explaining what we do. Like you guys are like, well, what do you mean by that? Pretty much everyone is like, well, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, okay, great, let me explain it to you. It's like your elevator pitch, you want to be able to summarize. If someone says to you, why should I choose you, and you can't give them a good 30-second answer, well, geez, why would they choose me? Like if I don't know, how the heck could you choose me? How could you know to choose me, What were you going to say?
Well, Yeah, in some cases you could have, I think, you could have that message somewhere in your tagline, in some cases, but not always, right? Like,
Yeah.
just expanding on that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, guys, you want to keep going? Okay, so what's the point of this if you don't know your numbers, guys? Track as much as you possibly can, especially if you're doing prospecting efforts, because we want to see ourselves getting better. Do you have a friend that anyone ever golfed with someone who's a bit of a cheat? Right? Who are they really cheating? Yeah, because guess what? If you start at 90, where are you going to go from there? You know what I mean? Like, you want to see yourself developing and getting better. If you give yourself a mulligan every time you don't like your shot, or if you don't track your numbers, you're never going to know you're getting better. Does that make sense? So, track as much as possible, but at a minimum, you could use the 4 conversations: appointments, listings signed, listings closed, and GCI. If you're doing activities, I also suggest tracking what you put in to get the outcome. So track door knocks or contacts, flyers, ad spend, etc. We also track leads because I want to know how much I'm putting in my database. Appointments, signed listing contracts, that could be buyers or sellers. I recommend keeping them separate because buyer reps are a lot less likely to turn into money than signed listing contracts. Sold transactions and closed transactions. Focus on leads over everything else in the beginning. Here's the deal. In the beginning, you got this wide mouth of the funnel open. You just need to shovel as many leads as you possibly can into that wide mouth. Everything's going to start to trickle after that. Once you've got more than enough leads to hit your goals, then start focusing on your conversion skills. But just get leads in the beginning. Just be like a lead eating maniac. You said you're new to the business, just go find leads. Leads. Okay? The cool thing is, once you have more than enough leads to attain your goals, then you'll notice that by getting better at the conversion process, and this is scripting I'm talking about, by getting better at the conversion process, you can choose to do one of 2 things. You can work way less and receive the same money, or you can work the same amount and receive way more money. The numbers get crazy in the middle grounds. If you get 50% of your listing appointments and you change that to 90%, that makes a huge financial difference. That's like taking your leads from 1,000 leads over the course of a year to 2,000 or 3,000 leads, but it's a lot less work, okay? Average conversion rates. So these, if you have absolutely nothing, this is what the MREA recommends. I personally think it's a lot harder in Toronto because I've seen it and I've got really talented people on my team who aren't hitting these numbers. Having Mets, they say 12 direct, you get a 50 to 1. So I, again, think it's closer to 200 to 1. You market to 200 homes, that one sale. For Mets who have gone through an 8x8 to a 33 touch, they used to have the 12-2. So for every 12 of them, you'd get 1 referral and 1 transaction. Again, I would divide this by 4. I would say 48 to 50 people that you've met would give you 1 referral and 1 transaction, maybe. It's tough out there, guys, but we're in a high price point, which is sweet. On our team, we see anywhere from 4 to 8% of contact to nurture ratio. So you talk to 100 people, you might only get 4 that you put in the database, which is fine. Don't put crap in your database. You're better off to take less. Again, a nurture lead, up to 2 years to transact, willing to do business, full contact info, and clear motivation. MREA appointment conversion ratios is 65% on buyers and 80% on listings. And rep to sold conversion rates are 80% and 65% for buyers. I think we flip those personally. I don't know why they have those numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those numbers might be getting closer now, though, with the more balanced market we have right now.
Could be.
I don't know if I had a listing that didn't sell in the last 3 years, right? But that can happen a lot more easily now.
Yeah, it could be.
That lead conversion rate is to close transaction, 4.8%, right?
Appointment conversion ratio is you sit down with someone, how many rep contracts are you signing, listing or buyer? And then the reps to sold conversion ratio would be you've got a signed listing, how many of those listings are going to sell?
So what's lead to appointment conversion? Like, so if you get a lead,
4 to 8 is what you're saying, right? 48%?
48%?
No, 4 to 8% is what you have on there for your lead conversion?
That would be contact to lead. So I speak to 100 people, I put 4 in my database.
Yeah.
For lead to appointment,
Yes.
on my
That's
team,
what I'm asking.
yeah, we're actually seeing like 0.5% to 1%.
Okay.
Actually, no, sorry, that's contact to appointment. We don't track lead to appointment because I don't feel that they're directly
No,
connected.
because I'm not getting enough appointments, that's why I'm curious. I've got leads, but I'm not getting the appointments.
Can I share what might actually make a difference for you? And this, I don't want to sound rude. It might be mindset.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we found is when we were focused on lead gen, remember I was saying like you get focused on lead gen, you'll get lots of leads? If you switch your mindset to focusing on appointments and still get the leads, but just think, today my job is to get an appointment every day. Ask for, one of the things that we did, we noticed on our team, a lot of agents forget to ask. So we're doing a new thing where we just are setting daily goals to ask.
Yeah.
So we ask for 5 appointments every day. So maybe try that.
Okay.
It might help. Anyways. Guess what, guys? Now's when I lock the doors. So, great news. You guys are all going to write me a review. This doesn't only just help me. I'm trying to become certified with KWU. So grab your phones. You can do this right on your phone. You don't have to write down and do it later. You don't have to do it on a computer. You do it right on your phone. Part of this is me becoming master faculty with KWU. We don't have anyone in Keller Williams Canada who can teach provisioning, 30, 60, 90, all the meat and potatoes that we really want. And I want to do that. So please go to kwueval.com. The course is called MREA Systematizing Lead Generation. And my name is not in the drop-down list because I'm not registered as one of their instructors yet because I don't have enough of these evals. So you go all the way to the bottom of the instructor list and you'll find my name and you'll find an option for instructor not listed, and then you just type in my name, which I conveniently put for you right here.
Okay, so,
You got it. It's a market center course.
is it on certain? Okay, there it is. So,
Sure.
what's the name of the course?
MREA, Systematizing Lead Gen.
Oh,
It'll be near the bottom. And again, I'm not in the instructor list, but you just go to the bottom, and then it'll give you a field to type me in below.
So, market center event type.
I'm just gonna use a washroom, guys. I'll be back in a minute. Please be honest. I eat feedback for breakfast. I'd love to get better, so let me know what I can do. Thanks, guys. So we've got a couple things left. We're just going to run through a summary, and then we're going to just chat a bit. I'm good till about 3:45, and then I've got to get everybody for my coaching call. So I'm here to do whatever helps you guys the most. I just want to run through a couple things we talked about, and let's just do ahas and questions as we go. Sounds good? So one of the things that I would say is the most important is to protect your lead generating time. You're better off having chaotic success than perfect mediocrity. And this is where you're going to make your money. So, you know, let it be a little hectic. A couple of those stupid vendor emails, wait a few hours before they get returned. You know, the other agent is calling you to ask a stupid question on a listing. Call him back in an hour. He's not going to melt. He'll probably not call his clients back for an hour because they're at work anyway. So just be focused, and when you're on, be on. use time blocking in a 411. Those would be instrumental in helping you. If you're going to spend a little bit of time anywhere in the beginning, just figure out how you plan to categorize and manage your leads. Have some system like the trapeze artist net that I was talking about. For us, it's a callback date. I've tried a whole bunch of things. You know, I used to do quarters, so I'd be like, first quarter 2020, these guys are getting thrown in that hopper. And that way, at least you know, hey, it's January 2018. Who do I call? Here's my list of 200 people who said maybe call me, maybe in January. And I'll give them an update, check in on them. Just have a way that you know who to have in your sites when. Use leverage marketing to facilitate communicating in large groups. So this is the 8x8, this is the 33 touch. Once you get past your first 150 people, not only is it going to be harder to remember them, but you just can't call them all twice a month to check in. And it would be annoying if you did. So let technology be your lever in this area and design a message that's generic to your entire database that brings value. And then you can send one email to 2,000 people and it moves you a notch up with each of them. Leveraging this could be tools and people. You know, in the long run, people are going to be part of your business, whether you hire them directly or you use them as service providers. Don't be afraid of that. Categorize your database. So once you get past the generic message to 3,000 people, maybe do what Irene was talking about, where you would categorize your database into groups. So you have half of your messaging goes to everyone, but then the other half is subcategorized into 4 different groups, and they would receive different care based on their level, their history with you, their plans, what lead source would be give one. And it amazes me how infrequently some people log into your database. Let me ask you, who here is full-time? Right? So shouldn't you log into your database every day? Like, do you check your email every day? Please tell me you do. Of course you do. You probably check it 25 times a day. How do we not check our database that much? This is our money machine. And if you track your activities, then you'll see where your opportunity is for improvement. Like you were talking about needing more appointments. Again, just try to ask for 5 a day. Might be. Let me know if you do it. I'd love to hear what happens. It's been gangbusters for the people on my
5 a
team.
day, 5 appointments a day.
Choose your number.
Okay.
It might be 3, it might be 1. But you know what? For me, I noticed that when I first started prospecting, it was our first thing that we tracked was door knocks. And the problem was we'd knock on the door and they wouldn't answer, and then we'd be walking away and we'd see them in the backyard. But we'd keep walking because they're like, oh, I knocked. I got my knock. Yeah, I was avoiding talking to people because it meant I got to quit earlier. Stupid me, right? And then we went to doing contacts, but it was like we would just try to get through contacts as quick as we could. I'd be talking to someone who was a lead, and I'd be rushing the conversation because in my head I'm like, oh, I still got 19 left. You know what I mean? So then we focused more on, we maintained contact, but we said, well, the job is to get leads. So then we were trying to get a certain number of really good leads every week, and we got way more put into our database, but we weren't booking appointments. We were just blowing up our database. And then we started focusing on appointments. So you continue all the other stuff and you track it, but you focus on appointments. My job is to get appointments. I'm a realtor. Appointments are the closest I can get to money. My job is to get appointments. When we started doing that, we started booking appointments like crazy. So it really is not a mindset thing like you're like, oh, I can't do appointments, I'm not good. It's a mindset like, be the hunter for appointments. I hope that helps you. It helped me a lot. Yeah. And lead generation is your one job. If there's only one thing you do in this business, generating leads, you could screw everything else up on a really high level. Like you could be a really horrible person, you could be really dumb, you could have like all these reasons that no one would want to do business with you. But if you do enough lead gen, you'll make a lot of money in this business. Just gotta do the lead gen, so do it. Okay, so from here, I just want to know what you guys think you might implement. I want to hear if anyone had an aha about how lead generating could actually affect their business and what they thought it could do for them. I'd love to hear that. And what long-term goals do you think you're going to put down the road for yourselves in terms of marketing? Where do you want to see yourself? So, everyone's going to share a little bit. What did you guys get from this?
Tonight, every year I host the pumpkin parade in the park next to my house.
Fun.
And yeah, it's fun. And tonight there's about 100 people coming, and I was like, you know how I am. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be tacky if I market it, 'cause I've always just done it. Fuck that, I'm bringing my cards and giving it to everyone. Did you know there's a realtor in your neighborhood, by the way? Here you go. Whatever, I'll think of something better, but
No,
do it.
it doesn't need to be great. You just
Yeah.
need to do something. Do anything, damn it.
I'm
That's
going
awesome.
to, 'cause I have a captive audience, and I provide the hot chocolate, and
Yeah.
I provide like apple cider, and I've just done it out of my heart, but you know what?
Why
My
shouldn't
family's
you
gotta
also get a
eat.
little something from it?
Yeah,
Right
and
off the
but I'll just say, I can only write this off if I give this out, you guys.
Yeah. By the way, who do you know that's planning to buy a home,
Right,
sell a home,
Yeah.
or invest in real estate?
yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. How about you? What did you get from today? What do you think might be implementable for you?
There were so many things, I have to go back and sort of absorb it. But I always find it interesting because when I'm trying to set goals, and especially bringing James on, sort of what you expect from your team and your standards in the lead gen, and you know the difference of, to me, if you're going to be on a team and people are paying you a certain percent of the commission for the value that you provide, the balance between what the team offers from a lead gen resource versus what you're making them do, I'm sort of trying to run through in my head. So looking at the different systems, and that's why I was asking you about integration, how to make something that is simple enough and easy enough to do, but effective enough to actually do what I need it to do.
Yeah.
And so the integration question that I asked at the beginning, to me, I can make things way more complicated than they need to be. So
I
that's
kind of like what you described. You basically have BombBomb as your email software, and you've got Top Producer, and then you manage your pipeline using the Buffini system.
yeah, I manage the pipeline with the numbers on Buffini, and I've now, my main database is Mojo and BombBomb, and with Zapier you can automate between the two of them. Some easy stuff, we're still sort of struggling with that a little bit, but, so.
I like what you're doing. It sounds like
There's so many different ways to skin a cat with this, and that's why I find it very interesting to see what other people do, because there's no right or wrong answer to it.
okay.
And there's no one solution for everything. And so, my ahas are learning the little tidbits that you gave about your team was.
Was it helpful? I don't know if we got all the way through that. I mean, it's one of those things. There's no perfect system.
No, there isn't.
It's all a total
So,
mess.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And
Feel
in fact,
free to reach out if ever you
Yeah,
guys want to
I will.
mastermind or share ideas. I'd love to have you come by our office.
that would be great. I'd love to see
Reach
that.
out. Well, I'm gonna grab
Okay,
cards, so
grab
I'll
your
send you
card,
guys all the
exactly.
resources, and you can.
Slide, that would be awesome.
Did we miss anything here? Automation and systems. We talked a little bit about that. Did you get enough?
No.
Categorization and balance. I think that was Irene. I mean, if I didn't get enough out about lead gen and new business, I'd probably drive you guys insane if I talked any more about it. DK info capture. That was you.
Yeah.
I had something I wanted to share with you. Do you mind if I do that and then we'll finish all house? So, remember I was talking about, you'll like talk to someone, they're like thinking about selling, and then you gotta get their number. This is the one downside of door knocking, is you need to close them twice. You need to get them to admit they're selling, then you need to get them to give you their information, because you're not gonna come back and
No
go.
problem getting their information.
Oh, okay. What are you missing?
Getting them to admit that they want to do something. Like I'll door knock days and days, hours and hours, and it's out of, you know, I can get there for 2 hours in the night, but I don't get a single lead from it.
That's weird.
Everybody's just kind of like laughing, like I'm never moving from this house. I love this neighborhood. Next house, I'm never moving from this house. I love this.
Honestly,
Wrong neighborhood.
just ask, yeah, it might be a tough neighborhood to door knock in, and just ask a few extra questions. I would really just add a few extra questions. One thing I will share too, is if they do say that they're moving and they give you a no, I have this weird Jedi mind trick I used to always play on people, because, you know, if you tell me you're selling, I really want that lead. I had one woman that I literally chased down the street, and turned into a great past client, comes to all our events, loves us. But I was like, wait, come back kind of thing. She was looking for the bus. So, we're in Toronto. We've got more than one area code, don't we? What are our 2 area codes?
647 416.
Right, and people who live in a home are more likely to have which one? Of course they are. So they're less likely to have a 647 number. So what I used to always do is I'd be like, oh, cool, so you're actually planning to move. You know, that's so awesome. You know what I'd love to do is I'll follow up with you next year when you're ready, and that way I can be sure I can help you. What's your number? Is it 647?
I do that, and
You
I
do
get
that?
the number. My problem is that I'm not getting people saying.
You need to door knock
I've been
more.
door
Or,
knocking now since May,
any maybes? Like, you don't get some people saying, hesitating, maybe a year
Are
or
you,
2
are you
years?
asking about the next couple of years, or are you just asking about right now? Get the hell out of that neighborhood. Yeah.
Maybe the script, maybe the script
Mostly
is
just
different
around,
too. I don't know.
our.
Those
like, sort of
results, though,
prospecting
doesn't make any
business
sense.
and stuff. So it's kind of like the beach, where I feel like they might be inundated.
The beaches is horrible
Yeah.
for door knocking. Try the upper beaches. It'd be really nice
Go
around
on
there.
major streets too.
Go on major
People-
streets.
People turn over more.
Yeah, you want the number one street for turnover in all of Toronto is Craven, right next door to the beaches. Solid price point, ugly houses. People never stay for more than a couple of years.
Arsenal, Gerard area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gerard Queen, like.
Gerard
major-
Queen, go on the
Hey,
Gerard. I used to. It's like pay dirt. Everyone wants to move off Gerard and Dundas and Kingston, and Gerard's all residential, like in the beaches. So I would just put a microscope on where you're door knocking. If you're door knocking like Prime Beaches south of Queen, kill yourself now. You know,
Well,
just
that's what I'm going around the listings for.
you guys have sick listings, so that's your problem.
Yeah.
You'll get more through your open houses in those areas, and maybe try circle prospecting
Well, we're
somewhere else.
finding now open houses are shifting too, where, you know, you're getting only maybe 7 groups coming through them, and you get 3/4 of them are legit agented, and the others are neighbors farting around on Saturday.
Hmm.
We found the past like month and a half, our open house leads have been not good.
Okay.
There's more on the market too.
Yeah,
There
there's
is
a
one
lot, there's a
market.
lot more.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy.
Yeah.
If I was you, I'd be trying different locations.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more things, guys, and I'll let you get out of here. This was a longer one. I really appreciate you guys being so involved with me. And reach out if you want to come check out our cold calling. Maybe you could come walk
Yeah, I was
through.
thinking about getting there, maybe start. That's
It's
no
super
problem.
effective. Yeah, you just plug in and go. What else do you guys get?
For me, it's asking for the appointment and having the automated system for follow-up.
Great.
I'm leaving a lot on the table.
Let me know how it goes, man. Yeah, I hope it helps you. Anyone else, or should I let you guys escape?
So with MailChimp, so you use MailChimp exclusively for your email campaigns, right?
You do, yeah.
So you can set up campaigns ahead of time, or you just like doing a custom one every month?
We do a custom one every month, and then we have chronological campaigns for different lead types that
I
come
mean,
in.
you design all of those ahead of time and then plug them
Yeah,
in.
we just turn them on.
But no one's providing content to you, you're designing your own content.
Yeah. I've got the luxury of having a marketing and lead generation manager. So we've got this woman, Ashley, who's been with us for 2-3 years now. She rebranded us. She came, we stole her from the Smithsonian, like she used to just be a television producer for Cottage Life and stuff like that. One of the smartest people I've ever hired or met. And she manages our outbound image, she manages our social media, our lead generation measures. She's responsible directly for our farm that we're launching. She's responsible for the database. She's in charge of all that stuff. And in this business, if you want to do it at a high level, like this is why teams are doing so well, is it's a lot. Like I've got 6 full-time people who work on this stuff. It's hard individually, like you can't do quite as much. So it's if you're, I know that you're part of another group, and Marvin's obviously a powerful man, so I'm sure that you guys have stuff in place, but it's part of the reason that things are shifting towards agents working in groups, because economy of
Can't do it
scale
all.
makes it possible to do all this stuff.
Can't do it
It's too much to do alone.
Provided, so.
Well, they can. Imagine what splits would be if they tried, and then you'd have 150 people at one brokerage who all have the same marketing in the same location. Well, and put a stupid sticker on my head, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. So it's gotta be, that's why you see most of the business going that way, because we're able to provide more as a group.
So when you say your message is up in advance, is you're doing one a month or whatever, is it, so every month you do a fresh custom message, a new email?
Yeah.
So it
Our,
changes it.
our format of the report is somewhat generic, so we'll track the same. Drop a card if you want me to send you the slides. Thanks for coming. It's a generic layout, and then we change the numbers, and we change the bar graphs, and we change, we'll have a separate write-up. For our farm too, there's gonna be a lot of community videos, a lot of community events. Like, we're gonna start with a lot of flyers and door knocking, and we're creating a Facebook group and kind of a community-centric message that targets the demographic group we're after. But then once we've got it rolling, the plan is that we're going to do a lot of community involvement events, charitable stuff. Hey, we're painting the school, we're doing a food food drive, turkey drive, whatever. So that's our plan for the farming side. So you start with a generic thing that fits everyone, just so that you're plugging holes when you first start in this area, right? Like, what can I send to absolutely anyone and it would be valuable and wouldn't offend them? And then from there, you're like, okay, well, what are my lead pillars? Oh, well, I have my farm. So then the first thing you would do is build an 8x8 or 33 touch, like touch campaigns that are specific to that geographic area. Okay, well, my next one's repeat and referral. Well, what do I do that's special for my repeat and referral? Add these 3, touch points or events or things to my past clients so that I can nurture referrals. And my 4th one's going to be web leads. Well, for web leads, I'm going to need a hyper-aggressive touch campaign for when they first come in. I'm going to need a long-term drip campaign to, you see what I mean? So start generic, start broad, and then start zooming in on your lead pillars and you get hyper-focused on those.
To it and
And
supplement.
yeah, you supplement. This business, our goal is just to get a little better every day. Don't aim for the finish line. Just say, okay, well, what can I do a little better today than I did yesterday? Reach out to me. Yeah, if ever you want to come check out our office, we're an open book. I'd happily share anything we get with you. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.